Michael Ostedo, 38, was a software engineer living in Asheville, North Carolina, with his wife, Vivien, and daughter Braille. Known for his quiet demeanor, Michael was a tech enthusiast who loved to hike and play chess. He graduated from the University of North Carolina with a degree in computer science. Michael worked for a local tech company, where his colleagues admired his problem-solving skills and dedication. He dreamed of starting his own tech company and was particularly excited about a new app idea he was developing. Isaac Arevin, 41, was a financial analyst who lived in Asheville as well. He was known for his intelligence and calm demeanor. Isaac graduated from Duke University with a degree in economics and worked for a prominent financial firm in the city. He and Michael were close friends, often discussing philosophy and technology. Isaac was single, valuing his friendships deeply and considering them his chosen family. He was respected at work for his thoughtful insights and steady presence. Melissa Moonbeam Brown, 29, was a yoga instructor and spiritual guide. She lived a vibrant and unconventional lifestyle, deeply committed to exploring alternative relationships and spiritual practices. Melissa was known for her radiant energy and fascination with love and connection. She dreamed of opening a holistic wellness center in Asheville. Her interest in unconventional sexual dynamics led her to form a polyamorous relationship, or throuple, with Michael and Isaac, something that Michael's wife, Vivien, tepidly agreed to. On March 17, 2012, the day before their deaths, Michael shared an article on Facebook about a financial seminar at the local community center. Melissa posted on Instagram, sharing her excitement about an upcoming retreat she was planning on goat yoga. The three of them checked into a daze and off the interstate, looking forward to a night of sexual escapades. Melissa was preparing spiritual activities, including yoga sessions and tantric meditations, to strengthen their bonds and enhance their sexual creativity. However, their plans were tragically cut short. Their lives were brutally ended in an unexpected and violent manner, leaving the community in shock. On the morning of March 18, 2012, at around 10 a.m., the weather was overcast and cool in Asheville, North Carolina. Diana Lopez, a housekeeper at the local Days Inn, was going about her usual routine. As she approached room 214, she knocked and called out, but there was no response. Assuming the guest had checked out early, Diana used her master key to enter the room. The scene that greeted her was beyond anything she had ever experienced. The bloodied corpses of Michael Ostedo, Isaac Arevin, and Melissa Moonbeam Brown were lying naked in the bed, their faces disfigured and unrecognizable. In the bathroom, their limbs had been severed and stuffed into the toilet, creating an unbelievably horrific sight. Diana was initially frozen in shock, unable to comprehend the brutality of the scene before her. Diana quickly regained her composure and rushed out of the room to call 911. Her voice trembled as she reported the gruesome discovery, and she struggled to describe the scene to the dispatcher. Within minutes, police and emergency responders were on their way to the Days Inn. News of the gruesome discovery quickly spread through Asheville. Local media, including the Asheville Citizen-Times, reported on the triple homicide in the Days and became a focal point for both reporters and curious onlookers. The community, known for its peaceful and artistic atmosphere, was stunned by the brutality of the murders. The police presence at the Days and remained heavy throughout the day as detectives and forensic teams worked tirelessly to gather evidence and piece together what had happened. The shocking nature of the crime left a deep impact on everyone involved, from the officers and detectives to the residents of Asheville. The Asheville police arrived swiftly at the Days Inn on the morning of March 18, 2012. Detectives Jason Milkmaid Mullen and Lisa Ramirez, known for their thorough and insightful investigative skills, were called in to lead the case. Detective Mullen, a meticulous and detail-oriented investigator, had worked on several high-profile cases in Asheville. Detective Ramirez, known for her sharp instincts and ability to read people, complemented Mullen's methodical approach. As they entered room 214, they were struck by the brutality of the scene. Blood splatters covered the walls and furniture, and the bed was soaked in blood. The bodies of Michael Ostedo, Isaac Arevin, and Melissa Moonbeam Brown lay in the bed, their faces unrecognizable and their limbs severed and stuffed into the toilet. The detectives quickly identified a katana, or Japanese sword, as the murder weapon. The presence of such an unusual weapon added a layer of complexity to the case. The detectives began their investigation by thoroughly documenting the crime scene. They took numerous photographs and collected samples for DNA analysis. Luminol was used to detect blood traces that were not immediately visible. The forensic team carefully gathered fibers, hair samples, and any other potential evidence that might provide clues about the killer. Detectives Mullen and Ramirez also spoke with Diana Lopez, the housekeeper who had discovered the bodies. Diana, still shaken, described the horrifying scene she had encountered and her immediate reaction. Her detailed account helped the detectives piece together the timeline of events leading up to the discovery. Outside the motel room, the parking lot was cordoned off with yellow police tape, and officers began canvassing the area, speaking with other guests and staff members to gather any additional information. They learned that no one had seen or heard anything unusual that morning, adding to the mystery of how the murders had occurred without attracting attention. The Asheville Citizen-Times and local TV stations quickly picked up the story, reporting on the shocking triple homicide. The community, known for its peaceful, artistic vibe, was shaken by the brutal crime. Reporters and onlookers gathered near the day's inn, seeking any updates on the investigation. As the day progressed, the detectives continued their meticulous work, hoping to find leads that would point them to the killer. The complexity of the crime scene and the unusual weapon used indicated a deeply personal and premeditated act of violence. The investigation was only beginning, but detectives Mullen and Ramirez were determined to uncover the truth behind the horrific murders. Vivien Ostedo, 36, was the first suspect the police investigated. Vivien was Michael Ostedo's wife, known for her outgoing personality and creative spirit. She worked as an art teacher at a local elementary school in Asheville and was often described as the life of the party. Despite her cheerful demeanor, Vivien harbored deep insecurities about her marriage, especially after Michael's involvement in a throuple with Isaac Erevin and Melissa Moonbeam Brown. Vivien initially agreed to the unconventional relationship to make Michael happy and to keep the family whole for her daughter Braille, but she soon found herself overwhelmed by jealousy and resentment. Her charisma often masked these underlying feelings, but close friends noticed changes in her behavior. A fact police found suspicious was that Vivien had a collection of Japanese objects, including a katana, inherited from her aunt, a travel agent who specialized in trips to Japan who coincidentally was under investigation for sex trafficking older women to Japan. Detectives Mullen and Ramirez brought Vivien in for questioning. During the interrogation, Vivien appeared calm and cooperative, but the detectives sensed an undercurrent of tension. They asked her about her relationship with Michael and the throuple arrangement. Vivien admitted she was struggling with the situation, but denied any involvement in the murders. She explained that she and Braille spent the weekend at a friend's house, trying to distance herself from the complicated relationship dynamics. The detectives found Vivien's alibi questionable and continued to press her for more details. Vivien's calm demeanor began to crack, revealing her deep-seated anger and frustration. She spoke of feeling neglected and betrayed by Michael's increasing affection for Isaac and Melissa. Despite her emotional outburst, Vivien maintained her innocence, insisting she had no part in the brutal killings. To gather more evidence, the police searched Vivien's home. They found the collection of Japanese objects, including katanas, which appeared to match the murder weapon found at the crime scene. Forensic analysis was conducted to determine if this katana was indeed the weapon used. The detectives also looked into Vivien's phone records and emails, searching for any incriminating communications. Vivien's friends and colleagues were interviewed as well. Many of them described her as a loving wife who was trying to support her husband's unconventional lifestyle despite her own discomfort. However, a few noted that Vivien had recently become more withdrawn and seemed increasingly troubled. The investigation into Vivien Ostedo's possible involvement in the murders continued to reveal new layers of complexity. Her deep feelings of jealousy and betrayal provided a potential motive, but the detectives needed concrete evidence to prove her guilt. As they delved deeper into her life and relationships, the case against Vivien grew stronger, but they were not yet ready to make an arrest. The second suspect the police investigated was Brian Foster. At 40 years old, Brian was a personal trainer in Asheville, known for his charm and physical fitness. He He had a magnetic personality that attracted many clients, both men and women. An ardent practitioner of free love, Brian had a separate sexual relationship with both Michael and Vivien Ostito, outside of the throuple involving Isaac Ervin and Melissa Moonbeam Brown. Despite his sexual attraction to both Michael and Vivien, Brian was unaware of the tension brewing between them. Brian was brought in for questioning by detectives Mullen and Ramirez. When he arrived at the station, he appeared calm and cooperative. The detectives asked Brian about his relationships with Michael and Vivien. He explained that he enjoyed the sexual attention and affection from both, but had no knowledge of any serious issues in their marriage. Brian was shocked to hear about the murders and expressed his condolences for the victims. The detectives then asked Brian about his whereabouts during the weekend of the murders. Brian stated that he had been working at the gym and visiting friends in Florida. He provided names and contact information for his alibi. The detectives verified Brian's alibi, finding that he had been seen at a gym in Tampa and with friends during the time of the murders. The investigation into Brian Foster's possible involvement in the murders revealed no immediate evidence linking him to the crime. His alibi was solid, and there were no signs of violent tendencies. However, the detectives were not ready to rule him out completely. They continued to monitor his activities and communications, hoping to uncover any new information. As the investigation progressed, Brian's name remained on the list of suspects, but without concrete evidence, the detectives turned their focus to other potential leads. Brian's charm and cooperative nature made it difficult to determine if he was hiding something or truly innocent. The third suspect the police investigated was Luanne Harris, 29. Luanne was a yoga instructor and spiritual teacher known for her serene and calming presence. She lived in Asheville and was good friends with both Vivien Ostito and Melissa Moonbeam Brown. Luanne had been introduced to the throuple as a potential fourth partner, but her involvement was more emotional than physical. Detectives Mullen and Ramirez brought Luanne in for questioning. She appeared calm but worried. The detectives asked her about her feelings about the throuple. Luanne admitted she was close to Vivien and found it hard to see her friend unhappy in her marriage. She denied having any role in the murders or in the throuple. She explained to them she was not interested in sex, and that, although she had the body of an adult woman, her true soul was that of a 19th century Swiss child named Berthold. The detectives then questioned Luanne about her whereabouts during the weekend of the murders. Luanne said she had been teaching a seminar on true souls in nearby Black Mountain. She provided a schedule of the retreat and names of participants who could confirm her alibi. She even told the detectives the identities of their true souls. Detective Mullen was that of a Chinese girl named Lu Mei, and Detective Ramirez had the soul of an ancient Indian guru named Pandichi. The detectives checked her alibi and found that Luanne had been seen at the retreat for most of the weekend. Despite her alibi, the detectives continued to probe Luanne's possible involvement. They searched her home and yoga studio, looking for any clues. They found several books on spirituality and healing, but nothing that directly connected her to the crime. They also checked her phone records and emails, hoping to find any communication that might hint at her involvement. Luanne's calm and cooperative demeanor during the interrogation matched her usual personality. However, the detectives remained skeptical. They knew that people could hide their true intentions well. The police interviewed Luanne's yoga students and colleagues. Most described her as peaceful and dedicated to her practice. No one reported seeing any signs of violent behavior or unusual actions. Despite this, the detectives continued to monitor Luanne, aware that jealousy could be a powerful motive. The investigation into Luanne Harris revealed no immediate evidence linking her to the murders. Her alibi was strong, and her background showed no history of violence. Nevertheless, the detectives kept her under surveillance, hoping to uncover any new information that might come to light. After weeks of intense investigation, the police finally identified the murderer. On the morning of April 10, 2012, a breakthrough came when forensic analysis confirmed that the katana found at the crime scene matched the one in Vivien Ostito's collection. Detectives Mullen and Ramirez pieced together evidence from phone records, emails, and interviews, leading them to conclude that Vivien was the killer. Vivien, an art teacher, had a vibrant and charismatic personality that hid her deep insecurities. She felt neglected and betrayed by her husband Michael's growing sexual attachment to Isaac and Melissa. The throuple arrangement, which she initially accepted only to make Michael happy, became unbearable as she watched him drift further away. Vivien's jealousy and resentment reached a breaking point, driving her to commit the brutal murders. On the night of the crime, Vivien used her knowledge of Japanese swords to carry out the killings. Late at night, she waited until Michael, Isaac, and Melissa were asleep at the day's inn before entering the room with the katana. In a fit of blind rage, she attacked them, ensuring their faces were unrecognizable and severing their limbs. She stuffed the limbs into the toilet, adding to the gruesomeness of the scene. The morning of Vivien's arrest was overcast, reflecting the somber mood. The police arrived at her home at 8 a.m., armed with a warrant. Vivien was taken by surprise, her calm facade quickly crumbling into shock and disbelief. She was handcuffed and led to the police car, her neighbors watching in stunned silence. As the police car drove away, Vivien's emotions ranged from shock to a haunting realization of what she had done. The once vibrant art teacher was now at the center of a horrifying crime. The news of her arrest spread quickly through Asheville, leaving the community reeling. Brian Foster and Luanne Harris, once suspects themselves, were equally shocked by the revelation. They had suspected Vivien's jealousy, but never imagined it would lead to such violence. Both faced their own emotional turmoil, dealing with the guilt of not foreseeing the tragic outcome. As Vivien Ostito faced the legal consequences of her actions, the community of Asheville tried to heal from the trauma. The police had unraveled a complicated web of relationships, jealousy, and betrayal to bring justice to the victims. The trial of Vivien Ostito began on October 12, 2012, in Asheville's Buncombe County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed with media, including reporters from the Asheville Citizen-Times and local TV stations. The community followed the trial closely, eager for justice to be served. The prosecution was led by District Attorney Ray Reynolds, a seasoned lawyer known for his firm stance on violent crimes. Reynolds, 75, was confident and assertive, presenting a compelling case against Vivien. He detailed how her jealousy and resentment had driven her to commit the brutal murders. Reynolds showed the jury the forensic evidence linking the katana to Vivien and highlighted her motive rooted in emotional turmoil. Vivien's defense attorney, Rachel McAllister, was 38 and known for her empathetic approach to cases. McAllister argued that Vivien's actions were a result of temporary insanity brought on by the extreme stress and emotional pain from the throuple arrangement. She painted a picture of a woman pushed to her limits by a complicated and unorthodox relationship dynamic. McAllister called several witnesses who testified about Vivien's previously stable and kind nature, trying to evoke sympathy from the jury. Throughout the trial, the emotional reactions of the victims' families were palpable. Michael Ostito's family sat in the courtroom, their faces a mix of sorrow and anger. Melissa Moonbeam Brown's spiritual community members, known as the Sunshine Family, attended daily, holding ritual scarring sessions outside the courthouse. After 3 weeks of testimony and evidence, the jury reached a verdict. On October 22, 2012, Vivien Ostito was found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder. The courtroom was silent as the verdict was read, with the victims' families showing a mix of relief and grief. The judge sentenced Vivien to 3 consecutive life terms in prison. Vivien remained expressionless as the sentence was handed down, her once vibrant personality now a shadow of its former self. The sentencing brought a sense of closure to the victims' families, though the pain of their loss remained. Michael's family felt justice had been served, but they continued to mourn his untimely death. Melissa's spiritual community and Isaac's relatives hoped the verdict would bring some peace, though they knew the healing process would be long. Following Vivien Ostito's trial and sentencing, life began to slowly return to normal for those involved in the case. For the victims' families, the pain of their loss lingered, but the closure provided by the verdict brought a sense of peace. The detectives received commendations for their dedication and professionalism in solving the case. They continued to work on other investigations, though the memory of the gruesome murders stayed with them. The Asheville Police Department implemented new protocols for handling similar cases, ensuring a more coordinated and efficient response in the future. For Brian Foster and Luanne Harris, life took unexpected turns after the trial. Brian, still reeling from the shock of Vivien's betrayal, decided to leave Asheville and start afresh in Tampa, Florida. He found solace in his work as a personal trainer, channeling his energy into helping others achieve their fitness goals. Luanne, on the other hand, chose to deepen her spiritual practice, finding comfort in yoga and meditation. She opened her own studio in downtown Asheville, offering classes that focused on healing and inner peace. As the years passed, the memory of the triple homicide faded from the public consciousness, replaced by new events and headlines. Asheville continued to thrive as a vibrant and eclectic community, known for its art galleries, craft breweries, and scenic mountain views. But for those who had been directly impacted by the tragedy, the scars remained, a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. This concludes today's episode of True Crime Case Files. The story of Michael Ostito, Isaac Aravan, and Melissa Moonbeam Brown is a harrowing reminder of the complexities and potential dangers within unconventional relationships. Behind closed doors, hidden tensions and unaddressed emotions can lead to devastating outcomes. Annabeth Renaldi, a 39-year-old marketing executive, resided in Round Rock, Texas, a fast-growing suburb of Austin. Known for her love of adventure and passion for travel, Annabeth was a vibrant and outgoing woman. Her colleagues respected her for her creativity and determination. Despite her busy schedule, Annabeth always made time for her friends and family, especially her husband Percy and daughter Patricia, cherishing every moment spent with her loved ones. In August of 2010, Annabeth's life seemed to be at its peak. She had just returned from a memorable vacation in Hawaii with her family, capturing stunning photos of the picturesque beaches and lush landscapes. Her social media posts about the trip, particularly on Instagram, where she had 300,000 followers, garnered attention and envy from her friends and followers. Annabeth's infectious smile and zest for life were evident in every picture she shared. As a marketing executive at Adele, Annabeth was highly regarded for her innovative ideas and ability to connect with clients. Her colleagues often sought her advice, and she was always willing to lend a helping hand. Annabeth's dedication and hard work had earned her a reputation as a rising star in the industry. Annabeth's last known activity was a post on her Instagram account, where she shared a picture of a delicious meal she had prepared for her family. The post was time-stamped just hours before her tragic demise. Friends and followers flooded the comments section with messages of admiration and envy, unaware of the dark cloud that loomed over Annabeth's life. The circumstances surrounding Annabeth's death would remain shrouded in mystery. Authorities launched an investigation to uncover the truth behind this tragic event. As we delve deeper into this case, we will explore the evidence, key suspects, and the events leading up to that fateful night. Stay tuned as we continue our investigation into the mysterious death of Annabeth Renaldi. On the scorching night of August 24, 2010, tragedy struck the quiet McMansions of Round Rock, Texas, when the life of Annabeth Renaldi, a vibrant and outgoing 39-year-old marketing executive, came to a sudden and tragic end. The events that unfolded that night would send shockwaves through the community and leave her loved ones devastated. It was not a typical summer evening in Round Rock, with temperatures still at a sweltering 103 degrees even at the late hour of 10 p.m. The heat seemed to reflect the intensity of the situation that was about to unfold. Annabeth's husband, Percy Renaldi, had just returned home from a business trip to Dallas, looking forward to spending a quiet evening with his wife and their teenage daughter, Patricia. As Percy entered their spacious kitchen, he was met with a scene that would haunt him forever. There, lying lifeless on the cool tile floor, was Annabeth. Her usually vibrant and expressive eyes were now vacant, her body motionless. Overwhelmed by grief, Percy's initial reaction was a mix of disbelief and anguish. He couldn't comprehend how his beloved wife, full of life and laughter, could be gone in an instant. In a state of shock, Percy immediately reached for his phone and dialed the emergency services. The voice on the other end of the line tried to calm him down, assuring him that help was on the way. But as Percy waited for the authorities to arrive, his mind raced with questions. What had happened to Annabeth? Was it an accident or something more sinister? Gossip of the tragedy spread quickly through the sterile streets of Round Rock. Neighbors gathered outside the Renaldi residence, their faces etched with concern and disbelief. The local media soon caught wind of the story, and reporters descended upon the scene, setting up cameras and microphones to capture every detail. The name Annabeth Renaldi became synonymous with tragedy, a haunting reminder of the fragility of life. The Round Rock Police Department wasted no time in responding to the distress call on that fateful August night in 2010. Detective Marcus Slew, a seasoned investigator with an impressive track record, took charge of the investigation. Accompanied by his dedicated team, they arrived at Annabeth Renaldi's residence, ready to unravel the mysteries that lay within. The scene that greeted them was both perplexing and unsettling. Annabeth's home, located in the rapidly growing suburb of Round Rock, stood as a silent witness to the tragedy that had unfolded. The sweltering summer heat of Texas in August hung in the air, adding an extra layer of intensity to the already grim atmosphere. The investigators meticulously combed through every inch of the crime scene, leaving no stone unturned. The house, normally filled with the vibrant energy of a loving family, now felt hauntingly empty. There were no signs of forced entry, leaving the detectives puzzled as to how the perpetrator gained access to the residence. The attention to detail displayed by Detective Slew's team was commendable. They meticulously documented every item, photographing and cataloging each piece of evidence. The walls, adorned with family photographs and memories, seemed to hold secrets of their own. The detectives carefully examined them, searching for any hidden clues that might shed light on the events that led to Annabeth's untimely demise. As the investigation progressed, the focus shifted to the kitchen, the very place where Annabeth's life had been tragically cut short. The detectives discovered an open carton of Bluebell Rocky Road ice cream, Annabeth's favorite treat. It was here that the chilling truth was revealed. The ice cream had been laced with a lethal dose of cyanide, a deadly poison that had claimed Annabeth's life. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents in disbelief. The media, always hungry for a sensational story, quickly picked up on the case. The Round Rock Police Department found themselves under immense pressure to solve the case and bring justice to Annabeth Renaldi. Percy Renaldi, a 48-year-old financial advisor and husband of the late Annabeth Renaldi, found himself at the center of a chilling crime investigation. As the prime suspect in his wife's untimely demise, Percy's life took a dramatic turn as the evidence began to stack against him. Known for his calm and collected demeanor, Percy Renaldi was a respected member of the community. Besides his financial advisory work, Percy was also a dedicated high school football coach, instilling discipline and teamwork in his players. Friends and colleagues described him as a man of integrity, always willing to lend a helping hand. However, beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic life, a darker side emerged. Investigators uncovered a series of text messages between Percy and an unknown individual, suggesting a possible extramarital affair. The content of these messages was closely examined to determine if they held any relevance to the case. During the police interrogation, Percy's emotions fluctuated between anger, denial, and confusion. He vehemently proclaimed his innocence, insisting that he had nothing to do with his wife's tragic demise. The detectives pressed him for an alibi, but Percy's recollection of events on the night of August 24, 2010, seemed hazy and inconsistent. As the investigation deepened, the authorities were leaving no stone unturned. They requested Percy's phone records, financial statements, and even conducted a thorough search of his home. Forensic experts meticulously analyzed the crime scene, looking for any trace of evidence that could link Percy to the cyanide-laced ice cream that claimed Annabeth's life. As the investigation continues, the focus remains on Percy Renaldi. Will the evidence prove his guilt, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Only time will tell as the truth slowly unravels, providing answers to the questions that haunt the community. As the investigation into the tragic death of Annabeth Renaldi unfolded, another potential suspect emerged: Patricia Renaldi, her rebellious teenage daughter. Known for her fiery temper and rebellious nature, Patricia frequently clashed with her parents over curfews and responsibilities. The tension within the Renaldi household had been palpable in the weeks leading up to Annabeth's untimely demise. Friends and classmates of Patricia described her as a headstrong young woman, unafraid to challenge authority and push boundaries. The police, with their keen eye for detail, discovered that Patricia had been having sex with multiple boys and had been experimenting with various drugs. In the sweltering August of 2010, the police turned their attention to Patricia, exploring the possibility of her involvement in her mother's murder. They meticulously questioned her, seeking any clues that could lead them to the truth. Patricia's reaction to the interrogation was a volatile mix of anger and frustration, as she vehemently denied any knowledge or participation in her mother's untimely demise. During the investigation, the police uncovered a series of text messages exchanged between Patricia and her friends. These messages revealed a troubled teenager struggling to find her place in the world. Patricia confided in her friends about her strained relationship with her parents, expressing her frustration and anger. However, amidst the turmoil, she also spoke of her deep love for her family and her desire to protect them. As the investigators delved deeper into Patricia's life, they discovered that she had been attending therapy sessions to cope with the challenges she faced. She had been seeking guidance and support to navigate the complexities of adolescence. The police, recognizing the importance of mental health in their investigation, reached out to Patricia's therapist for further insight. The therapist shed light on Patricia's emotional state, describing her as a teenager grappling with the pressures of school, relationships, and the ever-changing world around her. The therapist emphasized that Patricia's rebellious behavior was a manifestation of her struggle to find her identity and establish her independence. As the investigation into Patricia Renaldi's potential involvement in the tragic death of her mother continued, the community held its breath, waiting for the truth to be unveiled. The once peaceful streets of Round Rock were now filled with whispers and speculation, as everyone wondered who was responsible for this heinous crime. The focus of the investigation swiftly shifted to David Michaelson, a 32-year-old graphic designer who worked alongside Annabeth Renaldi at Dell in Round Rock, Texas. David was known among his colleagues for his charming personality and flirtatious nature, often lightening the mood in the office with his quick wit and playful banter. However, beneath his seemingly affable exterior, a darker side lurked. It was revealed that Annabeth had filed multiple reports of sexual harassment against David, detailing his explicit jokes and inappropriate comments. The tension between them had been palpable, creating a toxic work environment that Annabeth desperately sought to escape. This revelation shed light on a potential motive for David's involvement in her untimely demise. As the detectives delved deeper into David's background, they uncovered a disturbing secret. It appeared that David had developed a secret sexual obsession with Annabeth, fixating on her vibrant personality and undeniable beauty. The evidence pointed to a dangerous infatuation that had escalated over time, culminating in a tragic outcome. During the interrogation, David's demeanor shifted from his usual charm to a mix of guilt, denial, and desperation. He attempted to distance himself from the crime, claiming that his interactions with Annabeth were harmless and consensual. However, the mounting evidence against him painted a different picture. The investigators meticulously analyzed David's alibi for the night of Annabeth's death. It was discovered that he had been jogging in close proximity to her residence, raising suspicions about his potential proximity to the crime scene. Furthermore, a search of his personal belongings revealed a collection of disturbing items, including photographs and handwritten notes that showcased his unhealthy fixation on Annabeth. The police worked tirelessly to connect the dots, building a compelling case against David Michaelson. They reached out to other employees at the marketing firm, uncovering additional instances of his inappropriate behavior towards female coworkers. The testimonies painted a chilling portrait of a man who used his position of power to intimidate and manipulate those around him. The case served as a stark reminder of the importance of addressing workplace harassment and the devastating consequences it can have. The true mastermind behind the tragic death of Annabeth Renaldi had finally been revealed. Patricia Renaldi, the 18-year-old daughter of the victim, was identified as the perpetrator of the heinous poisoning death of her mother. Driven by a toxic combination of anger and resentment towards her mother, Patricia took drastic measures to gain control over her own life, ultimately leading to the untimely demise of her beloved mother. The investigation took a dramatic turn when new evidence was unearthed, shedding light on Patricia's involvement in the murder plot. The evidence, discovered in Annabeth's office, provided a crucial breakthrough for the dedicated team of investigators. It was a fateful day that would forever alter the course of this chilling case. However, as the police delved deeper into the evidence, they uncovered a disturbing connection between Patricia and David Michaelson, a graphic designer and Annabeth's co-worker. David, known for his charming personality and history of sexual harassment complaints, had long harbored an unhealthy sexual obsession with Annabeth and felt that if he couldn't have her, no one would. The investigation also revealed that David had manipulated Patricia, exploiting her feelings of resentment and insecurity to his advantage. In a twisted bid to win Annabeth's affection, he convinced Patricia to carry out the murder, using her deep-seated anger as a weapon. The motive behind Patricia's actions becomes clear as the investigation unravels. She viewed her mother as an obstacle to her freedom and independence, a suffocating presence in her life. Patricia's toxic emotions drove her to poison her mother's beloved Bluebell Rocky Road ice cream, a brand that held deep sentimental value to Annabeth. This calculated act of betrayal was a desperate attempt to escape the clutches of her overbearing mother and take control of her own destiny. The arrest of Patricia and David sent shockwaves through the community. The revelation of Patricia's involvement left Annabeth's family shattered, struggling to come to terms with the unimaginable truth. The facade of control that David had meticulously crafted was shattered, exposing the true extent of his obsession and manipulation. As this harrowing case reaches its conclusion, the tragic tale of Annabeth Renaldi serves as a stark reminder that darkness can lurk in the most unexpected places, even within the confines of a suburban home in Round Rock, Texas. The trial of Patricia Renaldi, the daughter accused of poisoning her mother, Annabeth Renaldi, with cyanide-laced Bluebell Rocky Road ice cream, captivated the courtroom. District Attorney Rachel Albert meticulously presented the evidence, painting a vivid picture of the heinous crime committed on that fateful August night of 2010. The prosecution called upon witnesses, including forensic experts who testified to the presence of cyanide in the victim's system. They presented chilling details of the toxic substance hidden within the innocent treat that Annabeth had enjoyed countless times before. The courtroom was filled with gasps as the evidence was revealed, leaving no doubt as to the cause of death. Defense attorney Stephen Marco fought tooth and nail to cast doubt on the evidence presented by the prosecution. He argued that Patricia's rebellious nature and strained relationship with her mother did not necessarily make her a murderer. Marco highlighted the lack of direct evidence linking Patricia to the crime, emphasizing the importance of reasonable doubt. The trial lasted for weeks, with both sides presenting their case, dissecting every piece of evidence, and calling upon witnesses to testify. The emotional toll on Annabeth's family was evident as they sat in the courtroom, their eyes filled with a mix of hope and despair. Finally, after hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. The tension in the courtroom was palpable as the forepersons stood to deliver the verdict. We, the jury, find the defendant, Patricia Renaldi, guilty of first-degree murder, the foreperson declared, the words echoing through the courtroom. The gasps and sobs that followed were a testament to the impact of the verdict. Annabeth's family, already devastated by her tragic death, found some solace in the knowledge that justice had been served. Patricia, once a rebellious teenager, now faced the consequences of her actions. At the sentencing hearing, the courtroom was filled with family members, friends, and supporters of both the victim and the defendant. The judge, taking into account the severity of the crime and Patricia's age at the time of the murder, handed down a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, a harsh sentence for so young a perpetrator. The courtroom fell silent as the weight of the sentence sank in. Annabeth's family, although relieved by the verdict, knew that no punishment could bring back their beloved wife and mother. They left the courtroom with a mix of emotions, grateful for the closure the trial provided, but forever scarred by the tragedy that had befallen them. In the wake of the highly publicized trial, the lives of those involved were forever altered. The shocking revelations and emotional roller coaster of the courtroom proceedings left an indelible mark on everyone touched by this tragic case. As the dust settled and the media frenzy subsided, each person had to find their own way to navigate the difficult path of moving forward. Percy Renaldi, once a pillar of strength, now carried the weight of grief on his shoulders. He sought solace in the support of family and friends, leaning on them for strength during this trying time. Patricia Renaldi, The daughter who had been at the center of the shocking revelation struggled to come to terms with her role in her mother's death. The guilt and remorse weighed heavily on her young shoulders, and she sought therapy to help her process her emotions. Patricia's journey towards healing was a long and arduous one, as she grappled with the consequences of her actions and the impact it had on her family. Detective Marcus Slew, the lead investigator who had tirelessly worked to unravel the truth, found himself reflecting on the case long after the trial had ended. The haunting nature of the crimes committed and the manipulation that had taken place left a lasting impression on him. He dedicated himself to advocating for victims' rights and ensuring justice was served in every case he encountered. As August of 2010 came to a close, the annals of true crime history had recorded another chilling chapter, and the name Annabeth Renaldi would forever be etched in the collective memory. The tragic story of Annabeth Renaldi's murder captivated a community and exposed the dark underbelly of human emotions. Round Rock, Texas, a once peaceful suburb, became the backdrop for a chilling crime that shattered lives. As we close this chapter, we are left contemplating the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of unchecked emotions. In November of 2003, the city of Miami was captivated by the shocking death of James Duxon, a wealthy and influential figure in the local high society. At 65 years old, James had amassed a fortune as a real estate mogul, known for his cutthroat business tactics that had earned him a place at the top of Miami's elite. However, behind James' polished exterior, there lurked a dark secret that would ultimately play a significant role in his demise. Unbeknownst to many, James had a string of young male lovers, a fact that added an element of intrigue to the already complex narrative surrounding his life and death. Described as charismatic and ambitious, James possessed an air of confidence and authority that commanded attention wherever he went. He was a familiar face at the Florida Marlins games, passionately cheering on his beloved team. His dreams extended beyond his business empire. He yearned for genuine companionship, a longing that seemed to elude him even in the midst of his success. As news of James' death spread through the city, speculations would run rampant. The media buzzed with theories, each more sensational than the last. Some pointed fingers at his boyfriend, a young man whose identity remained shrouded in mystery. Others suspected his estranged son, with whom James had a strained relationship. Yet, amidst the swirling rumors and conjecture, one question remained. Who was responsible for the demise of this enigmatic millionaire? On a sunny afternoon in November 2003, the vibrant city of Miami was rocked by a shocking and tragic incident that would forever change the lives of those involved. James Duxon, a prominent figure in Miami's high society, met a gruesome fate that would leave the community in a state of disbelief. It was a seemingly ordinary day when the tranquility of South Beach was shattered by the sound of a loud thud. Sarah Leon de Rosario, a renowned actress in the world of telenovelas, was enjoying the warmth of the Florida sun by her pool when she heard the disturbing noise. Curiosity and concern compelled her to investigate the source of the commotion. Rushing to the scene, Sarah's heart sank as she laid eyes upon the lifeless body of James Duxon. The once charismatic and influential millionaire now lay motionless on the ground, his life extinguished in an instant. The shock of the sight was palpable, and the gravity of the situation began to dawn on those present. News of the tragedy spread like wildfire throughout Miami, capturing the attention of the media and the public alike. The incident took place in the midst of a vibrant and bustling city, where the streets were adorned with palm trees and the air was thick with anticipation for the upcoming Art Basel Miami Beach. The city, known for its glamorous nightlife and luxurious lifestyle, was now gripped by a dark cloud of uncertainty. As investigators arrived at the scene, the South Beach penthouse was meticulously combed for clues. The balcony, once a symbol of opulence and breathtaking views, now held the key to unraveling the mystery behind James Duxon's untimely demise. The authorities, armed with their expertise and determination, sought to piece together the puzzle that lay before them. As the investigation unfolded, the lives of those connected to James Duxon were scrutinized. His estranged son, his boyfriend, and others close to him would become subjects of interest for law enforcement. The web of relationships and secrets that surrounded the millionaire began to unravel. revealing a complex tapestry of motives and potential suspects. On that fateful November afternoon in 2003, the tranquility of Miami's South Beach was shattered by the chilling discovery of James Duxon's lifeless body. The police, led by the seasoned detectives Emily Proctor and Mark Slavery, swiftly arrived at the scene to unravel the mystery behind this heinous crime. The sun cast long shadows as the investigators stepped into the opulent penthouse, its luxurious furnishings now overshadowed by the grim reality of a violent death. The room was stained with blood, a stark reminder of the brutality that had unfolded. The detectives meticulously combed through every inch of the crime scene, their eyes trained to spot the tiniest shred of evidence that could lead them to the perpetrator. As they meticulously collected DNA samples and fingerprints, the detectives couldn't help but wonder who would want to harm James Duxon. The charismatic millionaire had enjoyed a life of opulence and success, but beneath the surface, there were secrets that could prove to be the key to this puzzling case. James's extravagant lifestyle had made him a prominent figure in Miami's high society, rubbing shoulders with celebrities like Britney Spears and Gloria Estefan at exclusive events and parties. His connections ran deep, and the detectives knew they had to tread carefully, as the killer could be lurking within these very circles. The investigation took the detectives down a twisted path, filled with interviews, alibis, and a web of complex relationships. As the days turned into weeks, the detectives tirelessly pursued every lead, leaving no stone unturned. The media frenzy surrounding the case grew, with newspapers and television stations speculating on the identity of the killer. Rumors swirled, implicating James's estranged son, a jealous ex-lover, and even a disgruntled business associate. But amidst the chaos, detectives Proctor and Slavery remained focused. They knew that the truth lay hidden in the intricacies of James's life, waiting to be unearthed. They meticulously analyzed phone records, financial transactions, and surveillance footage, determined to bring justice to the victim and closure to his grieving loved ones. As the investigation continued, the city of Miami held its breath, anxiously awaiting the resolution of this perplexing case. The detectives were determined to crack the code, to find the missing piece that would reveal the identity of the killer and expose the dark underbelly of Miami's high society. The investigation into the mysterious death of millionaire James Duxon took a dramatic turn when the police turned their attention to Will Cooley, James's latest young boyfriend. At just 25 years old, Will was an aspiring artist known for his free-spirited nature and his passion for Latin American modernism. He had found himself captivated by James's charm and had eagerly embraced the opulent lifestyle that came with dating a wealthy businessman. As the detectives interrogated Will, they probed for any signs of jealousy or anger that might have driven him to commit such a heinous crime. Will, however, remained calm and composed throughout the questioning, vehemently denying any involvement in James's untimely demise. His alibi was supported by several witnesses who confirmed that he was at an art gallery event showcasing his latest collection at the time of the incident. The police, determined to leave no stone unturned, delved deeper into Will's background. They discovered that he had a clean record and no history of violence. Friends and acquaintances attested to his gentle nature and his unwavering dedication to his art. Will's innocence seemed increasingly likely as the investigation progressed. Nevertheless, the detectives couldn't ignore the fact that Will had been present in the penthouse at the time of James's death. They carefully examined the forensic evidence collected from the crime scene, hoping to find a breakthrough. Fingerprints and DNA samples were analyzed, but none matched Will's. As the investigation continued, the media frenzy surrounding the case intensified. News outlets across Miami were abuzz with speculation, and armchair detectives debated the possible motives behind James's murder. Theories ranged from a jealous lover seeking revenge to a business rival trying to eliminate a powerful competitor. The detectives, faced with mounting pressure, widened their scope of investigation. They began looking into other individuals who might have had a motive to harm James. Was it his estranged son, seeking revenge for a lifetime of neglect? Or perhaps a disgruntled business partner, desperate to gain control of James's vast empire? Nicholas Duxon, a 28-year-old finance professional, found himself entangled in a web of suspicion following the tragic demise of his estranged father, James Duxon. November 2003 would forever be etched in the annals of Miami's history as a month marred by a high-profile death that sent shockwaves through the city's elite circles. Born into a life of privilege, Nicholas had always strived to carve out his own path, away from the shadow of his father's opulent empire. A graduate of Miami's prestigious Coral Gables High School, he had honed his intellect and ambition to excel in the cutthroat world of finance. His relentless pursuit of success had led him to Wall Street, where he had become a rising star in the world of investment banking. However, beneath the veneer of accomplishment, a deep-seated resentment festered within Nicholas. The bitter divorce between his parents, fueled by his father's infidelity with a series of young male lovers, had left an indelible mark on his psyche. The wounds of betrayal still fresh, Nicholas had distanced himself from his father, vowing never to let him back into his life. As news of James Duxon's tragic demise reverberated through the media, Nicholas found himself thrust into the spotlight. Journalists swarmed around him, hungry for any tidbits of information that could shed light on the enigma surrounding his father's death. Television cameras captured his every move, amplifying the pressure he felt to defend his innocence against the backdrop of a grieving city. The police, armed with their relentless pursuit of justice, turned their attention to Nicholas as a potential suspect. Detectives Emily Proctor and Mark Slavery, renowned for their meticulous approach to crime solving, delved into the intricate details of his life. They probed his motives, searching for any signs of anger or resentment that might have driven him to commit such a heinous act. Nicholas's anger towards his father was undeniable. The scars of his father's betrayal ran deep, leaving a trail of emotional turmoil in their wake. However, as the detectives dug deeper, they began to unravel a complex tapestry of emotions. While his anger was palpable, there was no concrete evidence linking him to the crime. In the days that followed the tragic death of James Duxon, the investigation took an unexpected turn. A tip from an anonymous source led the police to a hidden compartment in James's opulent South Beach penthouse. Inside this secret hiding spot, a treasure trove of scandalous materials was discovered, shedding light on the millionaire's secret life. The compartment contained a collection of sexually explicit letters and pornographic photographs, meticulously organized and hidden away from prying eyes. These materials provided a glimpse into James's hidden desires and the extent of his involvement with his young male lovers. The letters, written with an air of passion and secrecy, detailed intimate encounters and rendezvous that took place in luxurious hotel suites and exclusive nightclubs. As the police sifted through the evidence, they discovered a pattern. The letters were addressed to James from various young men, some of whom were familiar faces in Miami's social scene. The photographs captured intimate moments, frozen in time, showcasing the allure and magnetism that James possessed. It was evident that he had carefully curated this collection, a testament to his insatiable appetite for sex and the lengths he went to keep his secret life hidden. The investigation took an even more intriguing turn when the police identified some of the individuals featured in the photographs. These young men were not just random acquaintances. They were rising stars in the world of entertainment and fashion. Their faces adorned magazine covers, billboards, and television screens, captivating the public's attention with their beauty and charisma. Rumors began to circulate, fueled by the discovery of this scandalous collection. The media, always hungry for sensational stories, seized upon the opportunity to delve into James's secret life. Tabloid headlines screamed with scandalous details, speculating about the identities of the men involved and the extent of their relationship with the millionaire. As the investigation continued, the police interviewed the individuals featured in the photographs, hoping to unravel the web of deception surrounding James's death. Each interview revealed a different side of the story, as these young men struggled to reconcile their public personas with their private sexual encounters with James. The third suspect in the investigation into the death of millionaire James Duxon was Brody Leech, a native of Brisbane, Australia, who served as James's personal assistant. Brody, known for his efficiency and unwavering dedication, had recently become the subject of rumors within James's social circle. Speculation swirled that Brody had become James's new lover, causing jealousy and potentially providing a motive for murder. During the police interrogation, Brody maintained a professional demeanor, answering questions with precision and clarity. However, beneath his composed exterior, there seemed to be a hidden desire for a life of luxury and excitement. Brody's background investigation revealed that he had grown up in a wealthy neighborhood in Brisbane, far from the glamorous world of Miami's high society. After completing his degree at the University of Queensland, Brody decided to pursue his dreams in the United States, landing a job as a personal assistant to a wealthy businessman in New York City. It was during his time in the Big Apple that he first heard about James Duxon, a prominent figure in the real estate industry. Driven by ambition and a desire for a better life, Brody made the bold decision to relocate to Miami and seek employment with James. He saw this opportunity as a stepping stone to a more glamorous and exciting existence. Little did he know that his path would intersect with James's mysterious death. Brody's relationship with James was characterized by professionalism and efficiency. He managed James's schedule, organized his appointments, and ensured that his business affairs ran smoothly. However, whispers among James's inner circle suggested that their professional relationship had evolved into something more intimate. As the investigation delved deeper into Brody's personal life, it was discovered that he had a penchant for luxury brands and a taste for the finer things in life. It seemed that Brody had become enamored with the glamorous lifestyle that James embodied. The police meticulously examined Brody's financial records, looking for any evidence of financial gain or unusual transactions that could link him to the crime. They also interviewed friends and acquaintances from Brody's past, hoping to uncover any hidden motives or connections to the case. The shocking truth behind the murder of James Duxon, the Miami millionaire, was finally revealed. After an extensive investigation, it came to light that the killer was none other than Will Cooley, James's boyfriend. But what makes this revelation even more astonishing is the fact that Will was also James's secret son, a fact that was unknown to everyone involved. The story begins in 1977, when James had a brief affair with the famous Brazilian painter Diana Brices Cooley. Little did he know that this affair would result in the birth of Will, a secret that was kept hidden to James until his death. It was this horrifying revelation of his true paternity that drove Will to commit the tragic act of killing his own father/boyfriend. The police pieced together the evidence meticulously, connecting the dots that led to Will's arrest. The moment of his capture was filled with tension as the truth unraveled before their eyes. The arrest of Will left the Duxon family shattered. Their grief mingled with shock and confusion at finding out about a new family member in such a horrifying way. The revelation of the murderer's identity brought closure to some, but it also reopened old wounds, leaving the family grappling with the complexity of their emotions. They were left to mourn not only the loss of James, but also the loss of the relationship they could have had with Will, had they known the truth earlier. The trial that followed the shocking murder of James Duxon captivated the South Florida, as people eagerly awaited justice for the millionaire's untimely demise. District Attorney Francine Villagra led the prosecution, presenting a compelling case that shed light on James's secret life and the motive behind his murder. Attorney Ulrich Capobianco, representing the defense, fought to unravel the complexities of the case and ensure a fair trial. The courtroom was filled with tension as the trial unfolded. Witnesses took the stand, recounting their interactions with James and the suspects. The prosecution presented evidence, including the explicit letters and pornographic photographs found in a hidden compartment of James's penthouse. These shocking revelations provided a glimpse into the dark secrets that James had kept hidden from the world. The defense argued that there were other potential suspects and questioned the validity of the evidence presented. They highlighted the strained relationship between James and his estranged son, Nicholas Duxon, as a possible motive for the crime. The defense also questioned the reliability of the DNA and fingerprint evidence, suggesting that it could have been contaminated or tampered with. Throughout the trial, the Duxon family sat in the courtroom, wearing Florida Marlins uniforms in honor of their loved one, their emotions raw as they relived the pain of their loss. The guilty verdict brought a mix of relief and sorrow. Will Cooley, James's lover and secret son, was sentenced to 7 years in prison for the murder. Some felt that the punishment was too lenient given the heinous nature of the crime, while others believed it was a just outcome. The impact of the trial rippled through the victims' friends and family, forever altering their lives. They found solace in the memories of their loved one and the support of their community. The media frenzy surrounding the case slowly subsided, but the tragedy of James Duxon's murder left an indelible mark on the city of Miami. Following the shocking conclusion of the trial, the lives of those involved in the murder of James Duxon took unexpected turns. Will Cooley, the murderer and secret son of the victim, found himself grappling with the weight of his actions behind prison bars. Seeking redemption and reconciliation, he reached out to his newfound family, hoping to mend the shattered bonds that had led to this tragic event. Meanwhile, Nicholas Duxon, James's estranged son, finally freed from the shadow of his father's legacy, focused on rebuilding his life. Determined to establish his own identity in the cutthroat world of finance, he immersed himself in his work, driven by a desire to prove himself and leave behind the painful memories of his father's betrayal. Brody Leech, the personal assistant who had unwittingly become entangled in this web of deception and violence, embarked on a journey of self-discovery. No longer content with the confines of his role as a mere employee, he sought a life beyond the boundaries of his past. Inspired by the events that unfolded, he decided to pursue his passion for photography, capturing the beauty and complexity of the world around him. In November 2003, the city of Miami was forever marked by the tragic death of James Duxon. The echoes of his life and the events surrounding his murder continued to reverberate through the lives of those involved. The impact of this chilling crime would forever shape their futures, reminding them of the fragility of life and the consequences of their actions. And so concludes our investigation into the tragic death of James Duxon. This case serves as a stark reminder of the complexity of human relationships and the devastating consequences they can sometimes bring. In the heart of America's breadbasket, Omaha, Nebraska, Melanie Vandermeir, a 34-year-old bank employee, lived a life marked by ambition and familial love. A graduate of Creighton University, she had majored in finance, a field she navigated with precision and passion. As a mother to 3-month-old Addison and wife to Peter Vandermeir, Melanie's life was a tapestry of modern motherhood and career aspirations. Melanie's colleagues at the First National Bank of Omaha knew her as a diligent worker, often staying late to ensure her clients' needs were met. Her LinkedIn profile, a relatively new phenomenon in June of 2005, showcased endorsements for her financial acumen and dedication. At home, Melanie was the nucleus of her family, her relationship with her husband Peter appearing to be a testament to partnership and mutual support, at least on the surface. Her family, including her sister Emily and parents John and Diane, were fixtures in her life. They often gathered for Sunday dinners, a tradition that Melanie cherished. These intimate gatherings were a blend of old and new, where stories from the past mingled with discussions of the latest episode of Desperate Housewives, a show Melanie enjoyed for its portrayal of complex women. Melanie's dreams extended beyond the confines of her immediate world. She envisioned a future where her daughter would have opportunities she had worked hard to secure. Only days before her death, Melanie had excitedly spoken of plans to enroll Addison in the prestigious Brown L. Talbot School, ensuring a head start for her education. As Melanie and Peter boarded their flight to Cancun, a couple's only trip to celebrate their second marriage anniversary, her thoughts were a mix of anticipation for the sandy beaches she'd seen in Travel and Leisure magazine and a well-deserved break from the rigors of new parenthood. Little did she know that this journey to paradise would be her last. On June 15, 2005, as the early morning sun cast a golden hue over the white sands of Cancun, a grim discovery disrupted the serene ambience of this tropical haven. At approximately 6:30 a.m., with the resort town slowly stirring to life, Maria Hernandez, an 82-year-old local known for her daily beachcombing rituals, stumbled upon a scene that would haunt the peaceful shores and make headlines far beyond the Yucatan Peninsula. The body of Melanie Vandermeir, still clad in a J.Crew bikini, a popular brand featured in the summer catalogs of that year, was found lifeless, embraced by the gentle yet relentless waves of the Gulf of Mexico. Maria, who had lived through the transformation of Cancun from a sleepy fishing village to a bustling tourist hotspot, was no stranger to the occasional aftermath of nighttime revelries left on the beach. However, the sight of Melanie's body was an inconceivable departure from the norm. The local authorities were notified promptly, thanks to a nearby tourist who lent Maria his Nokia cell phone, a device that had become a staple in the connectivity of the era. The police arrived on the scene with a sense of urgency, a response time reflecting the gravity of the situation and the potential impact on Cancun's image as a safe and exotic getaway, frequently featured in the pages of Condé Nast Traveler. The weather, typically idyllic for this time of year, seemed to mourn with a somber sky and a gentle breeze that offered no solace to the first responders. The beach, usually adorned with sun loungers and vibrant umbrellas, was now cordoned off with yellow tape, standing in stark contrast to the picturesque setting that had drawn Melanie and countless others to its shores. Maria, with decades of life etched into her weathered face, displayed a stoic calmness that belied the shock of her discovery. Her statement to the police was clear and concise, providing the initial narrative to what would become a complex and heart-wrenching investigation into the untimely death of a young mother and wife. The arrival of the Quintana Roo police at the now secluded section of Cancun's coastline was swift, a testament to the Mexican authorities' commitment to maintaining the resort's image, as depicted in glossy brochures, a sun-soaked retreat from the daily grind. Detectives Alejandro Ruiz and Sofia Blanco, seasoned officers with years of experience between them, were met with a scene that juxtaposed the natural beauty of the locale with a chilling narrative. The date was June 15, 2005, a time when the world's eyes were often fixed on the developments of the Iraq War, broadcasted by CNN and other 24-hour news channels. Yet here, the only conflict was between the tranquility of the resort town and the violence suggested by the discovery at its shore. The weather, a balmy 82 degrees with a light breeze, seemed incongruous with the gravity of the crime scene. Detective Ruiz, with his stern demeanor and sharp eye for detail, noted the absence of struggle. The sand around Melanie's body was undisturbed, save for the impressions left by Maria Hernandez's early morning discovery. Detective Blanco, known for her empathy and keen intuition, observed the victim's peaceful expression, a stark contrast to the brutality of her demise. The crime scene was devoid of the expected chaos that accompanies violence. There was no blood, no signs of a conventional struggle. The detectives surmised that Melanie had been drowned, a hypothesis that would later be confirmed by the medical examiner. The Gulf waters had cleansed any immediate evidence, leaving the investigators to rely on forensic methods that were becoming increasingly sophisticated, even as shows like CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, popularized them to the public. The police meticulously documented the scene, utilizing digital cameras, a relatively new addition to their investigative toolkit, to capture the area in detail. They collected samples of sand and water near the body, hoping that the burgeoning field of forensic science might yield microscopic clues. The absence of Melanie's personal effects suggested a robbery or an attempt to conceal her identity, complicating the case further. As the sun climbed higher, casting a harsh light on the grim task at hand, the detectives knew that the answers they sought might be as elusive as the motives behind this tragic end to a vacation that promised relaxation and renewal. As the investigation into Melanie Vandermeir's untimely death unfolded, the focus turned to her husband, Peter Vandermeir, a 35-year-old financial advisor. Amidst the swaying palms and sun-soaked beaches of Cancun, a stark contrast to the couple's quiet life in Omaha, Nebraska, Peter found himself at the center of a murder inquiry. With a reputation for ambition and a seemingly unwavering commitment to his family, Peter's life was under intense scrutiny. Peter's communications were being combed through by local authorities. Detectives sifted through call logs and messages, searching for inconsistencies in his account of their vacation, which coincided with the 2005 MTV Movie Awards buzz, an event Melanie had been excited to discuss during their trip. During the interrogation, held within the stark walls of the Cancun Police Department, Peter's composure was as fluctuating as the stock market he navigated for a living. He spoke of their plans to visit the renowned Chichen Itza ruins, and how they had dined at the Hard Rock Cafe Cancun just the night before Melanie's disappearance. Yet, when pressed about rumors of marital strife, his demeanor shifted. His hands, which had calmly folded a napkin from the cafe into neat squares on the table, now clenched into fists. The detectives noted Peter's agitation when they inquired about the couple's financial situation, which was reportedly strained due to his recent investment in the real estate boom. Considered precarious by some after the 2005 housing market predictions, Peter vehemently denied any discord, attributing any perceived tension to the normal stress of parenting a new baby and Melanie's ambition to ascend the corporate ladder at her bank. However, the police had uncovered evidence of several heated exchanges between Peter and Melanie, captured by the hotel's security cameras. These exchanges painted a picture of a relationship fraying at the edges, despite the idyllic setting. The investigation was further complicated by the discovery of a substantial life insurance policy taken out on Melanie, with Peter as the sole beneficiary, a common trope in true crime tales that raised eyebrows among the investigators. As the interrogation stretched into the evening, the detectives were aware that the burden of proof lay heavy on their shoulders. Cancun, a city pulsating with the rhythm of nightlife and the whispers of Caribbean winds, was now the backdrop of a narrative that had shifted from romantic getaway to sinister plot. The investigation into Melanie Vandermeir's death took a dramatic turn with the questioning of Tommy Walker, a 23-year-old Australian backpacker whose nomadic lifestyle had led him to the white sands of Cancun. His rugged charm and the allure of adventure had captivated Melanie, resulting in a clandestine affair that now placed him in the crosshairs of a murder investigation. Tommy's arrival in Cancun had been part of a broader itinerary that included the world's most exotic locales, a journey he meticulously documented on his blog, a popular medium in the burgeoning age of social media. His digital footprint, including check-ins at Cancun's Coco Bongo Club the night of June 14th, provided the police with a timeline of his movements. The interrogation took place against the backdrop of a series of benefit concerts aimed at combating global poverty, mirroring the stark contrast between Tommy's free-spirited existence and the gravity of the situation at hand. His defense was as unwavering as the global resolve to make poverty history. Detectives probed Tommy about his relationship with Melanie, questioning whether jealousy might have driven him to an act of violence. The Australian, sporting a billabong tank top and a sunburned demeanor, maintained his innocence. He recounted their last meeting, insisting it was nothing more than a farewell before he continued his travels to the next destination on his list, which included the recently opened Disneyland Hong Kong. Despite his assertions of innocence, the police were skeptical. The affair had been a poorly kept secret, whispers of which had even reached the ears of the staff at the Moon Palace resort where the Vandermeirs were staying. Tommy's passport and belongings were seized, revealing a postcard addressed to Melanie, the message on the back unfinished and a tone, one of longing. As the interrogation concluded, Tommy's fate hung in the balance, much like the Space Shuttle Discovery, which was grounded due to fuel sensor issues, delaying its much-anticipated return to flight. The investigators were left to ponder whether Tommy Walker's desire for freedom had been eclipsed by a darker impulse. On June 17th, as Cancun's tourist throngs reveled in the summer heat, a breakthrough emerged in the Vandermeir case. A local vendor, sifting through the sands to set up his beachside souvenir stand, unearthed Melanie's missing purse. The discovery, mere meters from the Moon Palace resort, reignited the investigation with newfound urgency. The sandy handbag, a Coach leather tote, a recent anniversary gift from Peter, contained more than the usual vacationer's essentials. Among the items were Melanie's hotel key card, a half-empty bottle of Banana Boat sunscreen, and a torn piece of paper that bore an enigmatic message written in what appeared to be Melanie's own hand. The cryptic note, partially smeared by sunscreen, seemed to be an unfinished sentence or a hastily scribbled thought. It read, "Meet me where the sun whispers goodbye," a phrase that detectives speculated could point to a clandestine meeting on the beach, perhaps with her lover, Tommy, or another unknown individual. The contents of the purse were meticulously cataloged and analyzed. Forensic technicians dusted for fingerprints, while digital specialists attempted to extract any latent data from the keycard, which might shed light on her final movements, a technique growing in sophistication. The case had all the hallmarks of a sensational story, a picturesque setting, a young mother's tragic end, and a narrative rife with potential jealousy and betrayal. As the summer sun set on another day in paradise, the investigation into Melanie Vandermeir's death had taken a significant turn. The authorities hoped the purse would be a game-changer in uncovering the truth behind the tragedy. The serene shores of Cancun, usually a refuge for sunseekers, became the backdrop for a complex investigation as attention shifted to Maria Hernandez, the 82-year-old local who first stumbled upon Melanie Vandermeir's body. Maria, a fixture on the beach, supported her family through what tourists left behind, her life story a stark contrast to the carefree vacationers surrounding her. Detectives delved into Maria's background, uncovering a life marked by resilience and hardship. Her daily routine, as unchanging as the tides, involved combing the beach each morning, a practice she had maintained for decades. This consistency, coupled with her discovery of the body, prompted authorities to consider her a person of interest. During her questioning, which took place in a room that felt as cold and clinical as the air-conditioned lobbies of the nearby luxury resorts, Maria maintained a stoic composure. Her account was detailed and precise, reminiscent of the factual reporting style seen in the pages of National Geographic, which featured an article on the resilience of the elderly. Investigators probed for a motive, speculating on a theft gone wrong. However, Maria's history was devoid of any criminal entanglements. Much like the pristine beaches she walked were free of the seaweed that often washed ashore elsewhere. Her hands, weathered from years of labor, showed no signs of a struggle, and her alibi for the time of Melanie's disappearance was corroborated by other locals. As the interrogation unfolded, Maria, despite the investigators' initial suspicions, emerged more as a witness than a perpetrator. The detectives concluded their session with Maria, her account leaving them with more questions than answers. The pursuit of justice for Melanie Vandermeir continued, the case unfolding like the plot of a John Grisham novel, each chapter revealing new complexities. The investigation into Melanie Vandermeir's death culminated in a revelation that would shock the tranquil community of Cancun. The evidence meticulously gathered and analyzed by local law enforcement pointed to one individual, Peter Vandermeir, the victim's husband. The man who had presented himself as a grieving spouse was unmasked as the architect of a premeditated murder. Peter's facade began to crumble as detectives pieced together a timeline that contradicted his initial statements. Hotel surveillance footage, time-stamped and unambiguous in its storytelling, showed Peter's movements on the night of Melanie's disappearance. The footage, as revealing as the exposés featured in Time magazine, contradicted his alibi. Further incriminating evidence emerged from the couple's electronic devices. Emails retrieved from Melanie's BlackBerry, a device that had become synonymous with business communications, revealed a marriage fraught with tension and conflict. Peter's own laptop, a sleek Dell Inspiron which had been advertised as the perfect tool for the on-the-go professional, contained deleted files that were recovered by forensic experts. These files included internet searches for life insurance payouts and the effects of saltwater drowning. The case against Peter Vandermeir was becoming as clear as the high-definition images broadcasted by a newly launched HD channel. The motive was a tapestry of betrayal, humiliation, and financial gain. Peter had learned of Melanie's affair through a message on her Nokia phone, a model praised for its reliability, and the revelation had ignited a murderous plan fueled by jealousy and rage. In the days leading up to the murder, Peter had been seen purchasing a large life insurance policy on Melanie, naming himself as the sole beneficiary. This policy, coupled with the couple's recent enrollment in an American Express travel insurance plan, painted a grim picture of premeditation. As the local community absorbed the news, the idyllic image of Cancun was temporarily overshadowed by a narrative of domestic tragedy. The case against Peter Vandermeir was airtight, his arrest imminent, and the facade of the perfect family holiday was shattered forever. As the tropical storm clouds gathered over Cancun's horizon on June 20th, a different tempest was unfolding within the confines of the local police station. Peter Vandermeir, once the bereaved husband, was apprehended by authorities in connection with the murder of his wife, Melanie Vandermeir. The arrest marked a somber resolution to a case that had gripped the seaside city. The evidence against Peter had mounted steadily, with the meticulous work of the Cancun detectives mirroring the precision of a Swiss watch, a symbol of the same luxury Peter aspired to provide for his family. The detectives had constructed a detailed timeline of Melanie's final hours, corroborated by hotel surveillance footage and witness testimonies, which now pointed irrefutably to Peter's involvement. His apprehension occurred discreetly, away from the prying lenses of tourist digital cameras, which were becoming increasingly prevalent. Much like the Canon EOS 350D that had been released earlier that year, Peter's demeanor during the arrest was one of disbelief. He appeared as disoriented as someone waking from a dream, his reality irrevocably altered. The news of Peter's arrest spread quickly, traveling through the channels of local media with fervor. The case had all the elements of a primetime drama, and public interest was piqued. Melanie's family, who had flown in from Nebraska, a state known for its rolling plains rather than sandy beaches, was present at the station. The mix of emotions was palpable: relief at the progress of the investigation, intertwined with the profound grief of loss. The Vandermeir family had been regular attendees at the Heartland Church back home, seeking solace in their faith, which was now tested in the most tragic of circumstances. As Peter was escorted to a holding cell, the storm outside unleashed its fury on Cancun. The sound of rain on the police station roof provided a grim soundtrack to the unfolding events. The arrest marked the beginning of a new chapter in the case, one that would lead to the judicial system where evidence would be weighed and a verdict rendered. The trial of Peter Vandermeir, set against the backdrop of a Cancun summer, commenced with the weight of expectation. The evidence laid out before the court was as compelling as the latest investigative series gracing the cover of Rolling Stone. Hotel surveillance footage, email correspondences, and the damning life insurance policy painted a portrait of a man driven to the brink by infidelity and financial desire. Defense attorney Miguel Torres, known for his advocacy as robust as the defense strategies outlined in John Grisham's legal thrillers, pleaded for leniency. He highlighted Peter's lack of criminal history and his role as a father, drawing a parallel to the public's sympathy for Martha Stewart, who had recently returned to the limelight after her own legal battles. The courtroom, with its charged atmosphere, could have been the set of a courtroom drama series, a stark contrast to the usual tranquility of the seaside town. Melanie's family, a constant presence in the gallery, clung to each other, their emotions as turbulent as the stormy season that had just passed. When the verdict was announced, the word guilty resonated through the room, definitive and irrevocable. The sentencing that followed was severe, as if to match the gravity of Peter's actions. The judge cited the premeditated nature of the crime, delivering a sentence that ensured Peter would spend the majority of his remaining years behind bars. Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy was reminiscent of the buzz surrounding the Live 8 concerts, which had taken place that same summer. Opinions on the verdict were divided. Some felt justice had been served, while others debated the complexities of the human heart and the concept of retribution. As the Vandermeir case closed, the family left the courthouse to begin the arduous process of healing. The foundation established in Melanie's name promised to keep her memory alive, a testament to the enduring spirit of a life taken too soon. In the wake of the trial that captivated Cancun, life gradually resumed its rhythm. Maria Hernandez, the elderly beachcomber who had discovered Melanie Vandermeir's body, returned to her daily search for treasures along the shore. The brief brush with the law had left an imprint on her, yet it became just another story in her long life, much like the tale she shared with her grandchildren. Tommy Walker, the Australian backpacker whose affair with Melanie had entangled him in the investigation, continued his global journey. However, the carefree spirit he once embodied seemed dimmed. The beaches of Cancun were replaced by new horizons, but his travel blog, now with a more reflective tone, occasionally hinted at the shadows of the past. The detectives who had worked tirelessly on the case, Alejandro Ruiz and Sophia Blanco, received commendations for their dedication. Their success in solving the case was discussed in law enforcement circles with the same respect as the latest advancements in forensic technology featured in journals like Forensic Magazine. Melanie's family, back in Omaha, sought to honor her memory through activism. The foundation they established focused on supporting victims of domestic violence, a mission that provided a channel for their grief and a legacy for Melanie. The foundation's work garnered attention, much like the social justice causes championed by celebrities at the Live 8 concerts that summer. The Vandermeir case had become a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind the facade of marital bliss. It served as a narrative that echoed the complexities of human relationships explored in popular shows like Desperate Housewives, which dominated television screens at the time. As Cancun's palm trees swayed in the gentle breeze and the turquoise waters of the Gulf of Mexico continued to lap at the sandy beaches, the tragedy of Melanie Vandermeir remained a poignant chapter in the city's history, a story of paradise lost to the destructive forces of jealousy and revenge. The tragic case of Melanie Vandermeir reminds us that paradise can sometimes mask the darkest of human emotions. As we close this chapter of True Crime Case Files, we are left to ponder the fragility of life and the lengths to which a broken heart will go to seek retribution. Samantha Hong, a 28-year-old personal assistant, lived a life that seemed straight out of a glossy magazine. Residing in the affluent town of Walnut Creek, Samantha was renowned for her opulent lifestyle, adorned in the finest designer clothing and indulging in a world of luxury. Her presence was a constant spectacle, capturing the attention of those who craved a glimpse into her seemingly perfect existence. Behind the facade of confidence, however, Samantha battled deep-rooted insecurities and an insatiable craving for validation. Her relentless pursuit of attention fueled her personal and professional life, propelling her towards success while leaving a trail of envious acquaintances in her wake. Samantha's life was a captivating blend of glamour and ambition. She frequented trendy restaurants, mingling with influential figures in the fashion and entertainment industry. Her social circle boasted celebrities, socialites, and power players, all eager to bask in the radiance of her charismatic persona. As we dig deeper into Samantha's life, we uncover the intricate web of relationships that surrounded her. Rumors of a love triangle emerge, pitting Samantha against two individuals vying for her affections. The tension and jealousy that simmered beneath the surface would ultimately lead to a devastating outcome. On the chilling evening of November 17, 2002, tragedy struck the quiet town of Walnut Creek, California, as the lifeless body of Samantha Hong, a 28-year-old personal assistant, was discovered under mysterious circumstances. The rain poured relentlessly, adding to the somber atmosphere that engulfed the crime scene. It was around 7:30 p.m. when Patty Snarlbrook, a 91-year-old passerby, unintentionally stumbled upon the horrifying sight that would forever haunt her. As Patty made her way home, her frail frame braving the elements, she noticed a peculiar disturbance near a dimly lit park. Curiosity piqued, she approached cautiously, her heart pounding with a mix of trepidation and curiosity. As Patty drew closer, her eyes widened in shock and disbelief. There, lying on the cold, wet pavement, was the lifeless form of Samantha Hong. The scene was reminiscent of a noir film, with the raindrops falling like tears from the sky, mirroring the sorrow felt by those who would soon learn of Samantha's tragic fate. Patty, a woman of advanced age but sharp intellect, immediately recognized the severity of the situation. Panic set in as she fumbled for her cell phone, dialing 911 with trembling hands. Her voice quivered as she relayed the grim discovery to the emergency operator, her words punctuated by the sound of raindrops hitting the pavement. Within minutes, the sound of sirens pierced the air, signaling the arrival of the authorities. The scene quickly transformed into a hive of activity as police officers and forensic experts descended upon the crime scene. Yellow crime scene tape was stretched across the alleyway, marking it as a place of tragedy and intrigue. As investigators meticulously combed through the evidence, the media frenzy surrounding the case intensified. The murder of Samantha Hong had become a captivating mystery that captivated the Bay Area, leaving no one untouched by its chilling implications. The police wasted no time in responding to the report of Samantha Hong's lifeless body. Detectives Julian Laughlin and Carolina Ramirez arrived at the scene, their faces grim with determination. The rain poured down relentlessly, adding to the somber atmosphere that hung over the crime scene. The location where Samantha's body was discovered was a secluded spot in a Walnut Creek park. The park, usually a place of tranquility and leisure, had now become the center of a macabre investigation. Yellow police tape cordoned off the area, preventing curious onlookers from getting too close. As the detectives approached the crime scene, they could see the unmistakable stain of blood on the ground. It was a chilling sight, a stark contrast against the wet grass and fallen leaves. The rain had washed away some of the evidence, but there were still enough clues for the investigators to work with. The first step was to secure the area and ensure that no evidence was disturbed. Detective Laughlin carefully placed markers next to each significant item, meticulously documenting their position. He then directed the crime scene technicians to begin their work. The forensic team, dressed in white protective suits, started their search for clues. They meticulously combed through the area, collecting samples of the soil, leaves, and any other potential evidence. Every step was taken with utmost care, as even the smallest detail could prove crucial in solving the case. Detective Ramirez focused her attention on Samantha's personal belongings. She carefully examined the victim's handbag, searching for any items that may provide insight into her life and potential motives for her murder. Among the contents, she found a receipt from a local jewelry store, indicating that Samantha had recently purchased an expensive necklace. Could this purchase be connected to her untimely demise? Meanwhile, Detective Laughlin interviewed witnesses who frequented the park. He spoke to joggers, dog walkers, and anyone who might have seen something out of the ordinary on that fateful day. One witness mentioned seeing a suspicious-looking man lurking near the crime scene, but his description was vague, leaving the detectives with more questions than answers. As the investigation progressed, the detectives faced the challenge of piecing together the puzzle of Samantha's murder. With each passing day, the pressure mounted to solve the case and bring justice to Samantha and her grieving loved ones. Dan Tearsbeak, a 32-year-old business executive, found himself at the center of a storm of suspicion surrounding the tragic murder of Samantha Hong. Known for his charm and influential connections, Dan was no stranger to the glitz and glamour of the high-flying lifestyle that Samantha reveled in. However, beneath his polished exterior, a web of secrets and guilt threatened to unravel. As the investigation unfolded, the police focused their attention on Dan, meticulously dissecting his every move and motive. The media frenzy surrounding the case only intensified the scrutiny on him. Reporters camped outside his upscale apartment building, eager to capture any glimpse of the man who was entangled in this deadly love triangle. In the interrogation room, Dan's carefully crafted facade began to crack. Under the relentless questioning of Detective Laughlin, beads of sweat formed on Dan's forehead, betraying his inner turmoil. The detective pressed him on the nature of his relationship with Samantha, the extent of their involvement, and any potential motive for her murder. Dan's voice trembled as he denied any wrongdoing, insisting that he had nothing to do with Samantha's untimely demise. He recounted their passionate affair, painting a picture of a torrid love affair that had consumed them both. He spoke of the nights spent at exclusive restaurants, the lavish gifts he showered upon her, and the trips they took to Hawaii and Las Vegas. But the detectives were not easily swayed by Dan's words. They delved deep into his financial records, uncovering a series of suspicious transactions that raised eyebrows. Large sums of money had been transferred from his accounts in the weeks leading up to Samantha's murder. The police wondered if these funds were used to hire a hitman or to cover up any evidence of his involvement. But amidst the media frenzy, justice remained the ultimate goal. The detectives meticulously gathered evidence, leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit of the truth. They were determined to unveil the dark secrets that lay hidden beneath the glossy surface of Samantha's glamorous life. In the investigation into the tragic murder of Samantha Hong, another suspect emerged, Emily Tearsbeak, the 34-year-old wife of Dan Tearsbeak. Emily seemed to embody the picture-perfect suburban wife, with her neatly manicured lawn, charming smile, and her beloved chihuahua, Carl J. Wertheimer. However, beneath her demure facade, a seething rage towards Samantha lurked. Emily saw Samantha as a threat to her marriage, a woman who had captivated her husband's attention and shattered the tranquility of their once harmonious life. Consumed by jealousy, Emily meticulously devised a plan to eliminate her romantic rival, leaving no stone unturned in her quest for vengeance. The police, led by detectives Julian Laughlin and Carolina Ramirez, delved into Emily's background, seeking to uncover the truth behind her seemingly innocent exterior. They discovered a woman who had meticulously crafted a facade of suburban bliss, but harbored a deep-seated resentment towards Samantha. As the investigators delved deeper, they discovered a trove of evidence that pointed towards Emily's involvement in Samantha's murder. They found a series of incriminating text messages exchanged between Emily and a mysterious contact known only as R. These messages revealed a sinister plot to poison Samantha with a lethal dose of arsenic, cunningly laced in her favorite champagne. The journal contained chilling entries, describing in meticulous detail the steps Emily had taken to ensure Samantha's demise. During the police interrogation, Emily's demeanor oscillated between calm denials and moments of intense anger. She vehemently denied any involvement in Samantha's death, claiming the texts and the journal entries were a private fantasy meant to relieve her anger. But her carefully constructed facade began to crumble under the intense interrogation against her. As the investigation continued, the detectives meticulously pieced together the puzzle, connecting the dots between Emily's motive, her actions, and the tragic outcome. The police published a preliminary investigation report, written at a fourth-grade vocabulary level of the insured that even the youngest readers could understand the gravity of the situation. As the investigation into Samantha Hong's murder continued, a surprising suspect emerged from the shadows. Tiffany Watson, a 25-year-old receptionist and co-worker of Samantha. Tiffany's resentment towards Samantha's success and glamorous lifestyle had been simmering beneath the surface for months, and now the police had reason to believe that her envy had driven her to commit a heinous crime. Tiffany, with her long brown hair and piercing blue eyes, seemed like an unlikely suspect. She often wore a fake smile and spoke in a soft, innocent voice that could easily deceive those around her. But the detectives saw through her facade and were determined to uncover the truth. During the police interrogation, Tiffany's demeanor shifted between feigned innocence and veiled hostility. She tried to downplay her rivalry with Samantha, claiming that they were just co-workers and that she had no reason to harm her. But the evidence told a different story. The detectives discovered that Tiffany had been secretly stalking Samantha for months. She had meticulously collected newspaper clippings and magazine articles featuring Samantha's success, pinning them to a corkboard in her small apartment. The board was covered in red string, connecting the articles in a web of envy and obsession. Furthermore, the detectives found a diary hidden under Tiffany's mattress. Its pages were filled with delirious, sexually explicit and disturbing entries detailing Tiffany's growing hatred and sexual attraction towards Samantha. She wrote about how Samantha's designer clothes and luxurious lifestyle made her feel inferior and how she would do anything to bring Samantha down. The detectives also uncovered a receipt from a local pharmacy dated November 10, 2002. The receipt showed that Tiffany had purchased a bottle of arsenic, the same deadly poison that had ended Samantha's life. The detectives also found traces of arsenic in Tiffany's apartment, linking her directly to the murder. As the evidence mounted against her, Tiffany's composed demeanor began to crumble. She became more agitated, her voice trembling as she continued to deny any involvement in Samantha's death. She claimed she had bought the bottle of arsenic to kill herself. The investigation into Samantha Hong's murder had taken a dark turn, revealing how love, envy, and betrayal that can exist together within the human heart. The detectives' relentless pursuit of justice had brought them closer to the truth, but there were still unanswered questions. What other secrets lay hidden beneath the surface? After an intense and painstaking investigation, the truth behind Samantha Hong's untimely demise finally was unveiled. The culprit responsible for this heinous crime was none other than Emily Tearsbeak, the wife of Samantha's wealthy lover, Dan Tearsbeak. Emily, a seemingly ordinary 34-year-old woman, harbored a deep-seated resentment towards Samantha. She perceived Samantha as a threat to her marriage and meticulously devised a plan to eliminate her romantic rival. Consumed by a toxic mix of jealousy and betrayal, Emily cunningly poisoned Samantha with a lethal dose of arsenic, cleverly laced in her favorite champagne. The police, led by detectives Julian Laughlin and Carolina Ramirez, left no stone unturned in their quest for justice. Their relentless pursuit of the truth led them to uncover crucial evidence that ultimately pointed to Emily as the mastermind behind this chilling murder. As the investigation intensified, the detectives interrogated Emily, unmasking her manipulative nature and her willingness to go to extreme lengths to eliminate her competition. Emily's responses ranged from calm denials to moments of intense anger, painting a complex portrait of a woman driven by envy and consumed by her own dark desires. The arrest of Emily Tearsbeak sent shockwaves through the wealthy community of Walnut Creek, California, leaving friends and neighbors stunned by the revelation that a seemingly ordinary woman could be capable of such a heinous act. Samantha's family, though devastated by their loss, found solace in the fact that justice had been served. As the trial of Emily Tearsbeak looms on the horizon, the community eagerly awaits the day when she will face the consequences of her actions. In the end, Samantha's vibrant spirit lives on, a reminder of the tragic consequences that can arise from the darkest corners of the human psyche. The legacy of this case will forever serve as a cautionary tale, reminding us all of the importance of trust, loyalty, and the devastating consequences that can arise when these values are forsaken. The trial that ensued after Samantha Hong's tragic murder in November 2002 captivated the area, with media outlets like KGO and CanTV closely following the proceedings. Emily Tearsbeak, the mastermind behind the twisted plot to eliminate her husband's mistress, stood at the center of the courtroom, her fate hanging in the balance. In a packed courtroom, the prosecution presented a meticulously crafted case against Emily, led by the formidable prosecutor Tabitha Quasimodo. Quasimodo, known for her tenacity and unwavering dedication to justice, left no stone unturned in her pursuit of the truth. She skillfully weaved together witness testimonies, forensic evidence, and a compelling narrative that painted Emily as a calculating and cold-blooded murderer. The defense attorney, Michael Laraboots, fought tirelessly to protect his client's interests. Laraboots, renowned for his ability to sway juries with his persuasive arguments, employed every legal tactic in his arsenal to cast doubt on the prosecution's case. He called into question the reliability of the evidence, challenged the credibility of witnesses, and attempted to create a narrative that placed the blame elsewhere. Samantha's family, clad in somber attire, sat in the front row, their eyes fixed on the proceedings. The weight of their loss was palpable, and their hope for justice was intertwined with a sense of grief that seemed insurmountable. The courtroom itself buzzed with tension, as the public and media awaited the verdict that would determine Emily's fate. After weeks of gripping testimony and impassioned arguments, the jury retired to deliberate. Their decision would shape the lives of both the victims and the perpetrators' families, and the nation held its breath in anticipation. Finally, the verdict was delivered. Emily Tearsbeak was found guilty on all charges. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the courtroom as the gravity of the decision sunk in. Samantha's family, though relieved that justice was served, struggled to find solace in the knowledge that their beloved daughter and sister could never be brought back. The sentencing phase of the trial commenced, and emotions ran high. The prosecution argued for a sentence that reflected the heinous nature of the crime, citing the pain and suffering inflicted upon Samantha and her loved ones. The defense, on the other hand, pleaded for leniency, highlighting Emily's lack of prior criminal history and her potential for rehabilitation. Ultimately, the judge, Honorable William Galville Gavelson, delivered the sentence. Emily Tearsbeak was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief, anger, and sadness. The impact of the verdict reverberated through the lives of all those involved, leaving a lasting scar that would never fully heal. As the trial concluded, the media frenzy surrounding the case gradually subsided, but the memory of Samantha Hong and the chilling tale of betrayal, jealousy, and revenge would forever remain etched in the annals of crime history. In the aftermath of the highly publicized trial, the lives of those involved in the Samantha Hong murder case took unexpected turns. For Daniel Dan Tearsbeak, the wealthy businessman who had been entangled in a deadly love triangle, life would never be the same. The trial had exposed his infidelity and shattered his marriage to Emily Tearsbeak. Dan, now a recluse, was rarely seen in public, preferring to spend his days in his secluded mansion overlooking the picturesque hills of Walnut Creek. His once thriving business empire had crumbled under the weight of scandal, leaving him a shadow of his former self. Meanwhile, Emily Thompson, the mastermind behind the twisted plot, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Her days were now spent behind cold steel bars, contemplating the consequences of her actions. The monotony of prison life was a stark contrast to the glamorous world she had once inhabited. The media circus that had surrounded the trial had moved on to other sensational stories, leaving Emily to face the harsh reality of her choices alone. As for Samantha's family, the wounds of her untimely death were still fresh. They had found solace in each other's company and the support of their close-knit community. The Samantha Hong Foundation, established in her memory, had become a beacon of hope for victims of domestic violence. Through their tireless efforts, the foundation provided resources and support to those in need, ensuring that Samantha's legacy lived on. The police officers who had tirelessly worked on the case, Detectives Julian Laughlin and Carolina Ramirez, were commended for their dedication and professionalism. Their meticulous investigation had brought justice to Samantha and closure to her grieving family. Their names would forever be etched in the annals of crime history, remembered as the heroes who had unraveled the truth behind the chilling murder. As the years passed, the Samantha Hong murder case faded from the headlines, becoming a distant memory for most. The once bustling streets of Walnut Creek returned to their peaceful existence, with residents going about their daily lives. The scars left by the tragic events of November 2002 would always remain, a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk within the human heart. Isabella "Bella" Sanderson, a vibrant and ambitious 30-year-old woman, owned a small clothing boutique in the city of Pittsburgh, California back in June of 2004. Her boutique, known simply as Bella's Boutique, was a hidden gem in the local fashion scene. With an impeccable taste for fashion and a fierce sense of independence, Bella became a fascinating figure in the community. As the summer of 2004 unfolded, Bella's life was filled with dreams and aspirations. She constantly envisioned a future brimming with success and adventure. Despite being 4 months pregnant, she remained determined to make her boutique thrive. Friends and family admired her unapologetic confidence, but little did they know that it would eventually lead to her untimely demise. To complicate matters further, Bella's own mother-in-law, Sophia, harbored a deep resentment towards her. Sophia, a woman known for her controlling nature, couldn't stand Bella's independent spirit. She saw her as a threat to the family's legacy and was determined to eliminate her from their lives. On that fateful night in June, Bella's life took a tragic turn. The details surrounding her murder were as chilling as they are perplexing. The investigation into her death would uncover a series of shocking revelations, shedding light on the dark secrets that lay beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic suburban community. In the quiet neighborhood of Pittsburgh, California, tragedy struck on a sunny day in June. Isabella "Bella" Sanderson, a vivacious 30-year-old boutique owner, met a gruesome end that would send shockwaves through the community. Bella was known for her impeccable taste and fierce independence. Her small clothing boutique was a local favorite, attracting fashion enthusiasts from all walks of life. She had a reputation for stirring up drama, with her unapologetic confidence and ambitious dreams of success and adventure. At the time of her death, Bella was 4 months pregnant, adding an even more heartbreaking layer to the already devastating story. On that fateful day, Bella's husband, Robert Sanderson Jr., made a horrifying discovery. The warmth of the sun was in stark contrast to the chilling scene that awaited him. As he approached his middle-class residence, fear and confusion washed over him. He stumbled upon the lifeless body of his beloved wife, her once vibrant spirit extinguished. The shock of the discovery was palpable. Robert, overwhelmed by grief, was unsure of how to process the gruesome scene before him. The police were immediately called to the scene, and the investigation into Bella's death began. In June of 2004, media outlets were quick to pick up on the tragedy. Local newspapers, such as the Pittsburgh Gazette, dedicated coverage to the case. Television news stations, like KGO Channel 7 News, aired special reports detailing the events surrounding Bella's murder. The community was captivated by the unfolding story, desperate for answers and justice. As investigators combed through the evidence, they discovered a complex web of relationships that would become the focal point of their investigation. The love triangle between Bella, her husband Robert, and his secret lover quickly became a central piece of the puzzle. The tension between these individuals, combined with the involvement of Bella's own mother-in-law, added an even darker twist to the already tragic tale. With each passing day, the details of Bella's untimely demise became more and more publicized. The community mourned the loss of a vibrant young woman, while simultaneously grappling with the shocking and disturbing nature of the crime. The investigation continued, fueled by the determination to bring justice to Bella and her unborn child. The swift arrival of the police at the scene of Bella Sanderson's tragic demise in June 2004 sent shockwaves through the quiet, middle-class neighborhood of Pittsburgh, California. Detective Johnson and Officer Ramirez, the dedicated investigators assigned to the case, wasted no time in assessing the chilling crime scene. As they approached the serene surroundings where Bella's lifeless body lay, a sense of urgency filled the air. The investigators were met with a gruesome sight. Traces of blood stained the once peaceful neighborhood, serving as a stark reminder of the violence that had unfolded. The method of murder, 2 gunshot wounds to the chest, added an eerie layer of mystery to the already perplexing case. With a meticulous attention to detail, the police meticulously combed the area for any potential clues. Utilizing advanced forensic techniques, they gathered evidence that would prove crucial in piecing together the puzzle of Bella's untimely demise. Every inch of the crime scene was scrutinized, from the surrounding houses and streets to the smallest fragments of evidence. Local residents were interviewed, their statements providing valuable insights into the events leading up to Bella's tragic end. The investigators delved into Bella's personal life, exploring her relationships and potential motives for her murder. Rumors of a love triangle involving Bella's husband and her own mother-in-law began to circulate, adding a layer of complexity to the case. As the investigation progressed, the media frenzy surrounding the case intensified. News outlets across picked up the story, captivated by the twists and turns of this real-life tragedy. The small clothing boutique owned by Bella became a focal point, with reporters flocking to the scene to capture the essence of the vibrant woman whose life had been cut short. In their pursuit of justice, Detective Johnson and Officer Ramirez left no stone unturned. They consulted experts in ballistics, forensics, and psychology, hoping to gain further insights into the mind of the killer. The search for answers became a race against time, as the public demanded answers and Bella's loved ones sought closure. The initial focus of the investigation turned towards Robert Sanderson Jr., the husband of the late Bella Sanderson. Robert, a charming and influential figure in the community, was the owner of a local bike shop that had gained popularity among cycling enthusiasts in Contra Costa County. As the police delved deeper into the case, they sought to unravel the enigma surrounding Robert's potential involvement in the murder of his wife. Detective Johnson and Officer Ramirez, the dedicated investigators assigned to the case, meticulously interrogated Robert. The room was tense, with the air heavy with anticipation as they probed for any signs of deceit or motive. Robert's demeanor fluctuated throughout the questioning, displaying a range of emotions that left the investigators both intrigued and suspicious. During the intense interrogation, Robert's responses were a mix of anger and calmness, further adding to the complexity of the case. The investigators were aware of his reputation for manipulation, and they were determined to uncover any hidden truths that lay beneath his charismatic facade. They delved into his personal life, exploring his relationship with Bella and any potential motives that could have driven him to commit such a heinous act. As the investigation progressed, the police discovered a series of text messages exchanged between Robert and a mysterious individual known only as MC. The messages hinted at a clandestine affair, raising questions about the nature of Robert's relationship with Marco Castrati, a regular at the bike shop. Marco, a prominent figure in the community and the owner of a renowned Italian restaurant, had been a big investor in Robert Jr.'s bike shop. With each passing day, the investigators grew more determined to crack the case wide open, bringing justice to the memory of Bella Sanderson. The small community of Pittsburgh was left reeling from the shocking events that had unfolded within its peaceful confines. As the investigation continued, the police painstakingly gathered evidence, leaving no stone unturned in their pursuit of the truth. Sophia Sanderson, aged 65, the mother of Robert Jr., became the focus of the investigation as the second suspect in the murder of Bella Sanderson. A woman of refined taste and extravagant lifestyle, Sophia was no stranger to the glitz and glamour of the luxurious life. However, beneath her polished exterior lay a web of secrets and hidden motives. As the police delved into Sophia's connections to the crime, they discovered a tangled web of financial straying. Despite her outward appearance of wealth and luxury and her pension as a retired nurse, Sophia was burdened by a mountain of credit card debt. Her extravagant spending habits had caught up with her, and she found herself in a desperate situation. It was during this time of financial turmoil that Bella's murder occurred. The police began to question whether Sophia's mounting debt had driven her to commit such a heinous act. They meticulously combed through her financial records, searching for any evidence that could link her to the crime. As they dug deeper, the investigators uncovered a series of suspicious transactions in the weeks leading up to the murder. Large sums of money had been withdrawn from Sophia's bank account, with no clear explanation as to where the funds had gone. The police traced these transactions to a secret offshore account, raising even more questions about Sophia's involvement in Bella's death. The investigation took a dramatic turn when the police discovered a hidden compartment in Sophia's closet. Inside, they found a collection of newspaper clippings detailing the scandalous affairs of wealthy individuals in the area. These clippings, meticulously organized and annotated, hinted at a secret side to Sophia's already dark life. The police theorized that Sophia had become obsessed with the lives of the rich and famous, using their scandals and misfortunes as inspiration for her own twisted game. They believed that Bella's murder was not only a means to protect her family's reputation, but also a way for Sophia to live out her own twisted fantasies. As the investigation continued, the the police dug deeper into Sophia's past, uncovering a trail of deceit and manipulation. They discovered that she had a history of using her charm and cunning to manipulate those around her, bending them to her will. This revelation only fueled their suspicions of her involvement in Bella's murder. In the coming weeks, the police would delve further into Sophia's connections and unravel the truth behind Bella's tragic death, riding hard on the shocking twists and turns of the investigation. As the investigation into the tragic murder of Isabella Sanderson intensified, the authorities meticulously combed through the evidence, determined to uncover the truth behind this heinous crime. Every detail, no matter how seemingly insignificant, was scrutinized in their pursuit of justice. One crucial piece of evidence that emerged was the discovery of 2 tickets to a matinee showing of the renowned musical Cats. These tickets, bearing the names of Bella's husband, Robert Sanderson Jr., and a man known as Diego, were found at the crime scene. The investigators immediately recognized the significance of this find, as it provided a potential lead in their quest to unravel the mystery surrounding Bella's untimely demise. The date on the tickets indicated that the fateful outing was planned for June of 2004. As the investigators delved deeper into the connection between Robert Jr. and Diego, they discovered that Diego was the older brother of Bella. This revelation added a new layer of complexity to the case, raising questions about the nature of their relationship and the potential motives behind Bella's murder. Furthermore, the investigators meticulously examined the theater where the Cats' performance was scheduled to take place. The historic Fox Theater in downtown Oakland, known for its stunning architecture and grandeur, had been the chosen venue for this particular matinee. The theater's management cooperated fully with the authorities, providing access to surveillance footage and assisting in the identification of potential witnesses. As the authorities worked tirelessly to piece together the puzzle surrounding Bella's murder, they remained steadfast in their commitment to uncover the truth. The discovery of the Cats' tickets had opened up a new avenue of investigation, shedding light on the intricate web of relationships and potential motives that surrounded this chilling crime. Diego Bosque, the older brother of Bella Sanderson, emerged as another suspect in the investigation. Diego, known for his fiery temper and unwavering loyalty, held deep suspicions about Bella's marriage to Robert Jr. and harbored a strong disdain for Sophia. However, the police uncovered shocking evidence that would send shockwaves through the community. During the course of their investigation, the police discovered secret, explicit text messages exchanged between Diego and Robert Sanderson Jr., Bella's husband. These messages revealed a clandestine sexual relationship between the 2 men, a relationship that had been kept hidden from everyone, including Bella. The messages were very graphic in nature and described late-night rendezvous in various parks around Contra Costa County. The revelation of this secret relationship sent shockwaves through the community, as it challenged the perception of loyalty and betrayal. Friends and family members were left dumbfounded, struggling to reconcile the image they had of Diego and Robert Jr. with the shocking reality that had been uncovered. The local media quickly picked up on the story, with headlines screaming about the scandalous affair that had emerged in the midst of Bella's murder investigation. The police, now faced with the task of unraveling the complex web of relationships surrounding Bella's death, intensified their interrogation of Diego. The third-grade vocabulary level was employed, ensuring that the questions were easily understood by all parties involved. Diego, torn between protecting his sister's memory and his own lover, was visibly shaken during the questioning. His anger and desperation were palpable as he attempted to navigate the treacherous waters of the investigation. As the investigation continued, the police delved deeper into the connection between Diego and Robert. They analyzed phone records, cross-referenced text messages, and interviewed acquaintances who might shed light on the nature of their relationship. The evidence was meticulously gathered, ensuring that no stone was left unturned in the pursuit of justice. The community of Pittsburgh, California, was left reeling from the shocking revelations that had come to light. The murder of Bella Sanderson had not only exposed a twisted love triangle, but had also shattered the illusion of a close-knit community. The once peaceful neighborhood now found itself at the center of a media frenzy, with reporters from local news outlets descending upon the area to cover the sensational story. The shocking truth behind Bella Sanderson's murder in June of 2004 was finally revealed. shedding light on a twisted plot that unfolded in the quiet city of Pittsburgh, California. After months of meticulous investigation, the police unraveled an intricate web of deception, leading to the arrest of Sophia Sanderson, the 65-year-old mother-in-law of the victim. Driven by a toxic combination of jealousy and pride, Sophia orchestrated a cunning plan to eliminate both her son's lover and his sister, her daughter-in-law. The motive behind this heinous act was rooted in Sophia's deep resentment towards Bella's intrusion into her family's affairs and her son's illicit sexual relationship with Diego Bosque, Bella's older brother. Sophia's desire to maintain control over her son, Robert Jr., and safeguard her family's reputation played a pivotal role in her decision to carry out this macabre scheme. With Diego stealing away her son for secret sex and Bella's pregnancy, threatening her son's financial support, Sophia saw no other way to protect her carefully constructed facade. The police uncovered a trail of evidence that pointed directly at Sophia's involvement in the murder. The discovery of a meticulously planned alibi, consisting of a fake doctor's appointment and a series of phone calls to create a false timeline, revealed the calculated nature of her actions. Additionally, surveillance footage from a nearby store captured Sophia purchasing a gun, the same weapon used to end Bella's life. As the authorities closed in on Sophia, her carefully constructed facade crumbled before her eyes. The shock and disbelief on her face as she was arrested mirrored the feelings of the community, who had known her as a respected member of society. As the community of Pittsburgh tries to make sense of this tragic event, the memory of Bella Sanderson will forever be etched in their minds. Her vibrant spirit and ambitious dreams will serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can lurk within the hearts of those closest to us. The courtroom was abuzz with anticipation as the trial of Sophia Sanderson, accused of orchestrating the murder of her son's lover and wife, reached its climax. District Attorney Tabitha Quasimodo, with her commanding presence and sharp legal mind, led the prosecution's case against Sophia. The defense, represented by attorney Ariel Cruz Roja, fought tirelessly to cast doubt on the evidence presented. The trial unfolded against the backdrop of a nation captivated by true crime stories. In the courtroom, attorney Quasimodo meticulously laid out the evidence against Sophia. She presented phone records showing suspicious conversations between Sophia and an unidentified individual on the day of the murder. The prosecution also introduced the murder weapon, a .45 caliber handgun, which was traced back to Sophia's possession. The ballistics expert testified that the bullets recovered from Bella's body matched those fired from the gun. To further strengthen their case, the prosecution called upon witnesses who had observed Sophia's erratic behavior leading up to the murder. A neighbor testified that they had seen Sophia lurking around Bella's boutique, casting a sinister shadow over the otherwise peaceful neighborhood. The defense, however, argued that these witnesses were unreliable and their testimonies should be dismissed. As the trial progressed, the courtroom was filled with tension and emotion. Bella's grieving family, clad in black, listened intently to every word uttered. The victim's friends, still grappling with the shock of their loss, sought solace in each other's presence. The media, hungry for sensational stories, swarmed the courthouse, capturing every moment for the evening news and front-page headlines. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Sophia Sanderson was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief, sorrow, and closure. The impact of the verdict reverberated through the lives of all involved, forever altering the course of their futures. In the aftermath of the trial, true crime geeks debated the motives and psychology of Sophia, dissecting her actions and attempting to understand what drove her to commit such a heinous crime. The story of Bella Sanderson's murder became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath even the most seemingly idyllic lives. Following the conclusion of the trial, Robert Jr., Diego, and Sophia were left to grapple with the daunting task of moving forward. The events surrounding Bella's murder had forever altered their lives, leaving them to navigate a complex web of emotions and rebuild their shattered worlds. Robert Jr., once the charismatic owner of a bike shop, found himself at a crossroads. The trial had exposed the dark secrets of his past, including his illicit relationship with Diego. The revelation had left him questioning his own sexuality and struggling to come to terms with the consequences of his actions. With his reputation tarnished and his business suffering, Robert Jr. faced an uphill battle to regain the trust of his community. Diego, Bella's older brother, was consumed by guilt and remorse. His secret sexuality relationship with Robert had not only betrayed his sister, but also implicated him in the murder plot. The trial had laid bare his darkest secrets, leaving him isolated and ostracized from his family, who did not accept his sexuality. With no one to turn to, Diego found solace in therapy and support groups, working tirelessly to rebuild his life and find redemption. Sophia, the mastermind behind the murder plot, faced the harsh reality of her actions. The trial had shattered her carefully constructed facade, exposing her as a manipulative and calculating individual. Her once extravagant lifestyle had crumbled under the weight of her debt, leaving her in prison. With no one left to protect her, Sophia retreated into a life of isolation and regret. As the months turned into years, the wounds left by Bella's murder slowly began to heal. The victims' families, torn apart by grief, found solace in support groups and counseling. The community rallied around them, offering a shoulder to lean on and a listening ear. Slowly but surely, life in Pittsburgh returned to a semblance of normalcy. And thus, the twisted love triangle that ensnared Isabella Bella Sanderson came to a close. In the city of Pittsburgh, California, in June of 2004, a story of passion, betrayal, and tragedy unfolded. Bella's life was tragically cut short, leaving behind a community forever changed by the darkness that lurked within their midst. Join us next time on True Crime Case Files as we delve into another chilling tale of human nature's darkest depths. Michael Foster was a 28-year-old man who lived in Huntsville, Alabama. He owned a dog kennel called Happy Paws, where he took care of dogs while their owners were awake. Michael loved animals and had a special way of making every dog feel loved and safe. His friends and family often said he had a kind heart and a laid-back personality. Michael lived in a small apartment on Pine Street, a cozy place with pictures of dogs on the walls and dog toys scattered around. After finishing school, he decided to open Happy Paws. His business became well known in Huntsville, with many people trusting him with their pets. Michael had a girlfriend named Darla Green. She was a fitness influencer with tens of thousands of followers on YouTube. Darla often posted videos of her workouts and talked about the importance of women getting strong and muscled. However, their relationship had problems. Darla was known to be very controlling and jealous, which led to many arguments between them. Michael was well-liked by everyone who knew him. He was also an active member of the Huntsville community, volunteering at animal shelters and participating in local events like the Panoply Arts Festival. Michael was known for his friendly nature and his ability to make everyone feel welcome. In the days before his death, Michael was excited about a new project at Happy Paws. He was planning to expand the kennel to accommodate more dogs and offer new services. He talked about his plans with his family and friends, who were all supportive. Michael also loved football and was looking forward to watching the upcoming March Madness games with his friends. Despite these issues, Michael remained focused on his dreams and his love for animals. He was looking forward to the future and all the possibilities it held. Sadly, his life was cut short in a tragic and violent way. On the morning of March 15, 2016, Michael Foster's body was discovered in his apartment. It was around 9:00 a.m. when his neighbor, Alex Leeson, noticed something strange. Alex lived in the apartment next to Michael's on Pine Street. That morning, Alex heard Michael's dog barking nonstop. This was unusual because Michael always made sure his dogs were well behaved. Alex decided to check on Michael. He knocked on the door, but there was no answer. Worried, he used the spare key Michael had given him for emergencies. When Alex opened the door, he immediately knew something was wrong. The apartment was a mess. Furniture was overturned, and there were signs of a struggle everywhere. Alex walked further into the apartment and saw Michael lying on the living room floor. Michael was motionless, and there was a phone charger cord wrapped tightly around his neck. Alex was shocked and terrified. His heart raced as he realized what he was seeing. Trying to stay calm, Alex quickly took out his phone and dialed 911. The 911 operator answered, and Alex, his voice shaking, explained what he had found. He told him about the barking dog, the messy apartment, and finding Michael on the floor. The operator assured Alex that help was on the way and instructed him to stay on the line until the police arrived. Minutes later, the sound of sirens filled the air. Police cars and an ambulance pulled up to the apartment building. They entered the apartment and immediately checked Michael for any signs of life. Sadly, it was clear that Michael was dead. The paramedics arrived and confirmed what the officers already knew. Michael Foster was gone. Officers spoke to Alex, who was still in shock but trying to be helpful. He explained everything he had seen and heard that morning. Police began securing the crime scene, making sure no one else could enter the apartment. News of the discovery spread quickly. Local media, including WAFF 48 News, reported on the tragic event. Neighbors gathered outside, whispering in disbelief about what had happened to Michael, the kind man who loved dogs and always had a smile for everyone. The discovery of Michael Foster's body marked the beginning of a complex investigation that would uncover secrets and lead to a shocking conclusion. The police arrived at Michael Foster's apartment quickly after Alex Leeson's 911 call on the morning of March 15, 2016. Detective Sharon Mitchell and her partner, Detective Emerson Carter, were the lead investigators on the case. Detective Mitchell was known for her attention to detail, and Detective Carter was respected for his methodical approach to investigations. When they entered the apartment on Pine Street, they saw a chaotic scene. The living room was in disarray with furniture overturned, and items scattered everywhere. There were clear signs of a struggle. Detective Mitchell immediately noticed the metal phone charger cord wrapped around Michael's neck. It was evident that Michael had been strangled. The detectives began their investigation by carefully examining the crime scene. Detective Mitchell took detailed notes and photographs of everything in the apartment. She pointed out the defensive wounds on Michael's arms, indicating that he had fought back against his attacker. Detective Carter used the fingerprint kit to dust for prints on the furniture and door handles. The crime scene unit arrived with more specialized equipment. They used luminol, a chemical that glows blue when it comes into contact with blood, to look for hidden bloodstains. The living room floor and some pieces of furniture showed traces of blood, suggesting a violent struggle had taken place. Outside, police spoke with neighbors to gather information about any suspicious activity they might have noticed. Several neighbors mentioned hearing loud arguments between Michael and his girlfriend, Darla Green, in the days leading up to his death. This information was noted and would be crucial in the investigation. Back inside the apartment, Detective Carter found a broken picture frame with a photo of Michael and Darla. It was clear that the couple had a tumultuous relationship. The detectives also found Michael's cell phone on the floor. They bagged it as evidence, knowing it could hold important clues. As the investigation continued, Detective Mitchell interviewed Alex Leeson. He described finding Michael's body and the chaos in the apartment. His account matched the evidence the detectives had gathered so far. Alex mentioned that Michael's dog had been barking loudly that morning, which led him to check on his neighbor. The crime scene investigation lasted several hours. By the end of the day, the detectives had gathered a significant amount of evidence. They knew they needed to find out more about Michael's relationships and recent activities to solve the case. The police's thorough and careful work at the crime scene would be the foundation of their investigation into Michael Foster's tragic death. The first suspect in Michael Foster's murder was his girlfriend, Darla Green. Darla was 27 years old and a well-known fitness influencer. She had over 100,000 followers on YouTube, where she posted videos about workouts and healthy living. Darla was muscular and often called herself a muscle girl. She was also rumored to use steroids, which made her personality even more unpredictable. Darla and Michael had been dating for about a year. Their relationship was rocky, with frequent arguments, mostly due to Darla's controlling nature. She was known to be very possessive and jealous, often monitoring Michael's activities and questioning his interactions with others. Friends and neighbors had heard them arguing loudly several times. On March 15, 2016, the police brought Darla in for questioning at the Huntsville Police Department. Detective Sharon Mitchell and Detective Emerson Carter conducted the interview. Darla appeared nervous and defensive from the start. She insisted that she had been at the gym that morning and had no idea what had happened to Michael. The detectives asked Darla about her relationship with Michael. She admitted they had problems but claimed she loved him and would never hurt him. Detective Carter pressed her on the rumors about her using steroids and how it might have affected her behavior. Darla became agitated and denied using any illegal substances, though her aggressive demeanor suggested otherwise. When asked about the night before Michael's death, Darla said they had argued about Michael meeting his ex-girlfriend, Rosabeth Green, who coincidentally was also Darla's mother. She accused Michael of being unfaithful, which he denied. The detectives noted Darla's intense jealousy as a possible motive for the murder. As the interview continued, Darla's story began to show inconsistencies. She couldn't clearly explain her whereabouts during the crucial hours of the morning. Her alibi about being at the gym was shaky, as the gym's security cameras showed no footage of her arriving or leaving. The detectives knew they needed more evidence to confirm Darla's involvement, but her controlling and jealous nature made her a prime suspect. After several hours of questioning, Darla was released, but the detectives kept a close watch on her. They needed to find more evidence to link her to the crime scene. Darla's erratic behavior and the strained relationship with Michael were key points in the ongoing investigation. The second suspect in Michael Foster's murder was his best friend and coworker, Daniel Harris. Daniel, 30 years old, had been friends with Michael for many years. They worked together at Happy Paws, Michael's dog kennel business. Daniel was known for being loyal and supportive, always there for Michael during tough times. Daniel was brought in for questioning at the Huntsville Police Department on March 16, 2016. Detective Sharon Mitchell and Detective Emerson Carter conducted the interview. Daniel was visibly upset about Michael's death, but he cooperated fully with the police. The detectives began by asking Daniel about his relationship with Michael. Daniel spoke fondly of his friend, describing him as kind and dedicated to his work. He mentioned that they spent a lot of time together, both at work and outside of it. Daniel also admitted that he often tried to mediate the arguments between Michael and Darla Green, Michael's girlfriend. When the detectives asked Daniel if he knew of any reason someone would want to hurt Michael, he hesitated. Then, in a quiet voice, Daniel revealed a shocking secret. He and Michael had been involved in a secret sexual relationship. Daniel explained that they had kept it hidden because they feared Darla's reaction. He was worried that Darla might have found out about their relationship and acted violently out of jealousy. Daniel's revelation added a new layer to the investigation. The detectives asked if he thought Darla was capable of harming Michael. Daniel nodded, describing her as controlling and possessive. He mentioned several instances where Darla had shown extreme jealousy, even over small things. The detectives also questioned Daniel about his whereabouts on the morning of March 15. Daniel said he was at home feeling unwell and decided to take the day off from work. He provided the detectives with the names of neighbors who could confirm his story. Detective Mitchell made a note to follow up on Daniel's alibi. Daniel was calm and cooperative throughout the interrogation, but it was clear he was deeply affected by Michael's death. The detectives thanked him for his honesty and assured him they would do everything they could to find the person responsible for Michael's murder. The new information about Michael and Daniel's relationship opened up more questions and potential motives. The detectives knew they needed to dig deeper into the lives of everyone involved to uncover the truth. The third suspect in Michael Foster's murder was Rosabeth Green, Darla's mother and Michael's ex-girlfriend. Rosabeth was 56 years old and a high school science teacher. She had remained on friendly terms with Michael even after he started dating her daughter. Rosabeth was known for being kind and understanding, traits that made her a beloved teacher at Huntsville High School. On March 17, 2016, the police brought Rosabeth in for questioning. Detectives Sharon Mitchell and Emerson Carter conducted the interview. Rosabeth appeared calm but worried. She was cooperative and answered all their questions. The detectives began by asking about her relationship with Michael. Rosabeth explained that she and Michael had dated a few years ago and that she had, quote, the best sex of my life during our time together. She also said they had remained friends after they broke up. She mentioned that they occasionally met for coffee to catch up and talk about life. Rosabeth admitted that Darla did not like their friendship and often got jealous. When asked about the days leading up to Michael's death, Rosabeth said she had seen Michael a week before he was killed. They had met at a local Burger King to discuss how Michael could level up his sex life with Darla. Rosabeth noted that Michael seemed stressed and mentioned problems with Darla, but he didn't go into details. Detective Carter asked Rosabeth about her whereabouts on the morning of March 15. She stated she was at school, teaching her first period biology class. Several colleagues and students could confirm her presence. The detectives made a note to follow up on her alibi. The conversation then turned to Darla. Rosabeth expressed concern about her daughter's behavior. She described Darla as controlling and often paranoid about Michael's interactions with other people. Rosabeth admitted that Darla's jealousy had caused tension between them. She also mentioned her daughter's use of steroids, which seemed to make her more aggressive and unstable. The detectives asked Rosabeth if she believed Darla was capable of harming Michael. Rosabeth hesitated but then nodded, saying she feared Darla's jealousy and obsession might have driven her to do something drastic. She shared instances where Darla had acted out in anger, reinforcing the detective's suspicions. Throughout the interview, Rosabeth remained composed and provided valuable insights into Darla's behavior. The detectives thanked her for her cooperation and assured her they were doing everything they could to find out what happened to Michael. As Rosabeth left the police station, Detective Mitchell and Detective Carter discussed the new information. Rosabeth's statements about Darla's jealousy and aggressive behavior added more weight to the growing evidence against Darla. The investigation was moving forward, and the detectives were determined to uncover the truth. On March 20, 2016, 5 days after Michael Foster's body was found, the police received a significant piece of new evidence. It was a rainy afternoon around 3:00 p.m. when Detective Sharon Mitchell got a call from a resident of Michael's apartment building. A resident said she had found something unusual in the building's trash bin. Detective Mitchell and Detective Emerson Carter arrived at the apartment complex and met with Linda. She handed them a small black diary she had found while taking out her garbage. The diary was in rough shape, but it was clear it had belonged to Darla Green, Michael's girlfriend. The detectives took the diary back to the police station to examine it carefully. As they flipped through the pages, they discovered detailed entries about Darla's relationship with Michael. The entries revealed Darla's growing paranoia and jealousy. She wrote about her suspicions that Michael was cheating on her, not just with his ex-girlfriend Rosabeth Green, but also with a man, which they later confirmed to be Daniel Harris. One entry from a week before Michael's death stood out. Darla had written about installing hidden cameras in Michael's apartment to monitor his every move. She described how she watched him interact with other people and how it fueled her anger and jealousy. The final entry was chilling. Darla wrote about her plan to confront Michael, expressing fear that he was planning to leave her. The diary provided crucial insight into Darla's state of mind and her obsessive behavior. Detective Carter noted that the entries matched the timeline of events leading up to Michael's murder. The detectives decided to search Darla's apartment for the hidden cameras mentioned in the diary. On March 21, the police obtained a search warrant and went to Darla's apartment. They found several small hidden cameras placed around the living room and bedroom. The cameras were connected to a recording device hidden in a closet. The detectives took the device back to the station for analysis. The recordings from the cameras showed Darla spying on Michael. There were videos of him talking on the phone, meeting with friends, and even interacting with Daniel Harris. The recordings provided concrete evidence of Darla's invasive and controlling behavior. They also showed her entering and leaving Michael's apartment at odd hours, including the morning of March 15. With this new evidence, the detectives felt they were closer to solving the case. Darla's actions and the contents of the diary painted a clear picture of her mental state and possible motive for murder. The investigation was far from over, but the pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together. On March 25, 2016, the police finally identified Michael Foster's murderer. Darla Green, Michael's girlfriend, was arrested for his murder. Darla was 27 years old and a fitness influencer with over 100,000 followers on YouTube. Her obsession with controlling Michael and her use of steroids had made her mentally unstable. The detectives pieced together the events leading up to Michael's death from the diary found in Darla's apartment and the hidden camera recordings. The diary detailed Darla's escalating paranoia and jealousy. She suspected Michael of cheating on her with both his ex-girlfriend Rosabeth Green, who was also Darla's mother, and his best friend Daniel Harris. On the night of March 14, Darla confronted Michael in his apartment. Her anger and jealousy led to a heated argument. The hidden cameras recorded parts of this confrontation. In a fit of rage, Darla grabbed the phone charger cord and strangled Michael. The struggle left the apartment in disarray, and Michael tried to fight back but was overpowered. On the morning of March 15, Darla left the apartment, hoping to make it look like Michael had been attacked by someone else. She went to the gym to establish an alibi, but the gym's security cameras did not capture her presence, weakening her defense. Detectives Sharon Mitchell and Emerson Carter gathered all the evidence and presented it to the district attorney. With the diary, the recordings, and Darla's inconsistent alibi, they had a strong case against her. The police decided to arrest Darla at her apartment. On the afternoon of March 25, the police arrived at Darla's apartment. Detective Mitchell knocked on the door, and Darla answered, looking surprised and nervous. Detective Carter informed her that she was under arrest for the murder of Michael Foster. Darla's face turned pale, and she began to cry, but she did not resist arrest. As Darla was taken away in handcuffs, the news quickly spread. Michael's family was relieved that the murderer had been caught, but devastated by the betrayal from someone they had trusted. They expressed their gratitude to the police for their hard work in solving the case. Neighbors and local media, including Delive AFF 48 News, reported on the arrest, highlighting the tragic end of a troubled relationship. The community was shocked that someone as well-known as Darla could commit such a crime. The arrest of Darla Green marked a significant breakthrough in the investigation. The detectives felt a sense of closure knowing they had brought Michael's killer to justice. However, the pain of his loss remained for his family and friends, who had to come to terms with the tragic events. The trial of Darla Green began on June 12, 2016, at the Madison County Courthouse. The case had garnered significant media attention, with local news outlets covering every development. The courtroom was packed with reporters, family members, and curious onlookers. The prosecution was led by District Attorney Oliver Leeson, a 45-year-old with a reputation for being tough and thorough. In his opening statement, Leeson laid out the evidence against Darla. He highlighted the diary entries that detailed her escalating paranoia, the hidden camera recordings that captured her confrontations with Michael, and the physical evidence from the crime scene. Leeson argued that Darla's jealousy and obsession drove her to murder Michael in a fit of rage. The defense attorney, Lisa Roberts, was a 38-year-old known for her calm demeanor and sharp legal mind. She argued that Darla was not in her right mind at the time of the murder due to the effects of steroids and emotional stress. Roberts claimed that Darla's actions were not premeditated but the result of a temporary lapse in judgment caused by her mental state. Throughout the trial, Michael's family sat in the front row, their faces a mix of sorrow and anger. They listened intently as witnesses, including neighbors and Michael's friends, testified about the turbulent relationship between Michael and Darla. Daniel Harris's testimony about his secret relationship with Michael added a layer of complexity to the case, revealing the depth of Darla's jealousy. The jury deliberated for 3 days before reaching a verdict. On June 28, 2016, the foreman announced that Darla Green was found guilty of second-degree murder. The courtroom was silent as the judge read the verdict. Michael's family hugged each other, tears streaming down their faces. They felt a sense of justice but were still grieving their loss. During the sentencing phase, the prosecution argued for a severe punishment, emphasizing the brutality of the crime and the impact on Michael's loved ones. The defense pleaded for leniency, citing Darla's mental health issues and lack of prior criminal history. In the end, the judge sentenced Darla to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The sentence was met with mixed reactions. Michael's family felt it was a fair punishment, while some of Darla's supporters believed it was too harsh, considering her mental state. The community was divided, with debates about the influence of steroids on behavior and the responsibilities of those who used them. The trial's conclusion brought some closure to Michael's family, but the emotional scars remained. They had to learn to live without him, holding on to the memories of the kind and gentle man they had lost. After the trial, life slowly began to move on for everyone involved. Michael Foster's family struggled with their loss, but they found solace in their memories of him. His parents, David and Linda Foster, started a charity in Michael's name, the Foster Animal Foundation, to support animal shelters in Huntsville. This helped them feel connected to Michael's passion for animals and gave them a sense of purpose. Daniel Harris, Michael's best friend and coworker, faced a difficult time. The revelation of his secret relationship with Michael had shocked many, but he received support from friends and colleagues. Daniel continued working at Happy Paws, the dog kennel Michael had started, determined to keep Michael's dream alive. He also sought therapy to help him cope with the trauma and grief. Rosabeth Green, Darla's mother and Michael's ex-girlfriend, also found the aftermath challenging. As a high school science teacher, she focused on her students, finding some distraction in her work. She remained in touch with Michael's family, sharing their sorrow and supporting their charity efforts. The ordeal brought her closer to them, creating a bond of shared grief. Darla Green's YouTube channel, once filled with workout videos and health tips, was abandoned. Her followers were shocked by the news of her crime. In prison, Darla participated in mental health programs and anger management classes. She spent her time reflecting on. Michael's friends and family held an annual memorial at Happy Paws on his birthday, celebrating his life and love for animals. This gathering became a tradition, a way for everyone to remember Michael and find comfort in each other's company. The trial and its aftermath had left a mark on everyone involved. They had all been touched by Michael's kindness and the tragedy of his untimely death. Through their efforts to honor his memory and support each other, they found a way to heal and move forward. Derek Orville, 45, was a well-known and successful realtor from Mankato, Minnesota, a town more famous for its cornfields and conservative values than for the kind of thrill-seeking that Derek openly craved. Outwardly, Derek was the perfect image of a charismatic, outgoing man who seemed to have it all. His confidence and charm made him a popular figure in his community, and his real estate business was thriving. He was known for his love of adventure and excitement, always the first to suggest a daring activity or exotic vacation. Derek's love for life's thrills, including those of a sexual kind, extended beyond his career and into his personal life, where he sought out experiences that pushed boundaries. This desire for excitement led Derek and his wife, Janice, to book a trip on an adults-only cruise through the Caribbean in April of 2015. This cruise, marketed as an exotic getaway for couples seeking to spice up their relationships, promised a week of sun, sea, and illicit sex. Derek saw it as the perfect opportunity to explore the more daring side of his sexual interests. Despite his adventurous nature, Derek's life wasn't without its darker sides. Friends described him as someone who could be controlling, particularly in his relationships. This side of Derek had surfaced more often in recent years, straining his marriage to Janice, a quiet and somewhat meek woman. Yet Derek remained determined to revive the spark in their relationship through illicit sexual practices such as swinging and wife swapping, believing that this cruise could be the answer to his marital problems. In the days leading up to their departure, Derek tried to force Janice to go on the cruise with him, in the belief that this trip would bring them closer together. He painted a picture of excitement and intimacy that he hoped would rekindle their romance. But behind his confident exterior, Derek was unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface of his marriage. As the cruise approached, Derek's dreams were filled with visions of adventure and passion. He was ready to dive into the experience, never imagining that it would be the last adventure of his life. On the morning of April 14, 2015, at approximately 9:00 a.m., a housekeeper aboard the luxurious cruise ship made a grisly discovery. Her name was Luisa Palacio Ortiz, a 32-year-old woman from San Juan, Puerto Rico, who had been working on the ship for nearly 5 years. As she went about her usual routine, cleaning the cabins while most passengers were at breakfast, she approached cabin 827, the suite assigned to Derek and Janice Orville. When Luisa knocked on the door and received no answer, she assumed the couple had gone out for the day. Using her master key, she entered the room to begin her cleaning. Almost immediately, Luisa noticed something was wrong. The room was eerily quiet, and a strange, heavy smell lingered in the air. As she stepped further into the cabin, Luisa's eyes were drawn to the bed, where she saw Derek Orville's body. He was naked, lying face down on the bed, the mouth gagged and his hands bound to the bedpost with metal chains. A pillow was pressed tightly over his face, and there were no signs of movement. Shocked, Luisa froze for a moment, trying to process what she was seeing. Her heart raced and she felt a wave of nausea. But years of working on the ship had taught her to stay calm in emergencies. Quickly, she backed out screaming of the room and ran down the hallway to the nearest phone. She dialed the ship's emergency number and reported what she had found. Within minutes, ship security arrived at the scene, and the area was cordoned off to prevent any passengers from entering. Luisa, visibly shaken, was taken to a private area where she was given water and comforted by a fellow crew member. She later told investigators that she had never seen anything like this before and hoped never to see it again. The discovery of Derek's body sent shockwaves through the ship. Spicy gossip spread quickly among the passengers, who had been enjoying a sunny day at sea, completely unaware of the dark turn the cruise had taken. Many gathered in small groups, whispering about what had happened, as the ship's crew and authorities prepared to handle the unfolding tragedy. Within an hour of the discovery, the ship's captain, Mark Reynolds, had alerted the local authorities at the nearest port, St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. By 10:30 a.m. on April 14, 2015, a team of detectives from the Virgin Islands Police Department, led by Detective Samuel Torres, boarded the cruise ship. Torres, a seasoned investigator known for his sharp instincts and methodical approach, was accompanied by a forensic specialist and her assistant. The team moved quickly to secure the crime scene, taking every precaution to ensure that no evidence was contaminated. As Torres entered cabin 827, he was struck by the stark contrast between the luxury of the room and the brutal reality of the crime. The cabin, with its plush bedding, elegant furniture, and ocean views, was immaculately clean, too clean. The air was heavy with the scent of cleaning products, which suggested that the scene had been deliberately sanitized. Derek Orville's naked body lay undisturbed on the bed, still bound with metal chains and gagged with a ball, a pillow pressed tightly against his nose. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, and no obvious fingerprints, indicating that the killer had taken great care in covering their tracks. The medical examiner immediately began her examination of the body, noting the ligature marks on Derek's wrists and ankles. The chains were heavy and industrial-looking, not something typically found on a cruise ship, raising suspicions that they had been brought on board specifically for this possibly sexual purpose. They also observed that Derek's lips were tinged blue, a clear sign of suffocation. The time of death was estimated to be around 2:00 a.m., based on the body's rigidity and temperature. Meanwhile, Torres meticulously searched the room for any additional clues. They used luminol to check for traces of blood, but the tests came back negative, further supporting the theory that the scene had been carefully cleaned. Torres also ordered a sweep of the cabin for any hair, fibers, or other forensic evidence that might have been overlooked. The detectives were puzzled by the lack of any clear evidence pointing to a suspect. Everything about the scene suggested a premeditated, calculated murder by someone who knew Derek's preferences and tendencies. As the investigation continued, the crew and passengers were questioned. Ship logs were reviewed to identify anyone who might have entered or exited the cabin during the night. But the initial search yielded few leads, leaving the detectives with more questions than answers. The team realized they were dealing with a highly skilled and possibly cold-blooded killer. The first person Detective Samuel Torres focused on was Janice Orville, Derek's wife of 20 years. Janice, 45, was a quiet, unassuming librarian from Mankato, Minnesota. She had always been the opposite of her outgoing husband. Where Derek was adventurous and charismatic, Janice was reserved and meek. Her friends described her as a kind but somewhat timid woman who often felt overpowered by Derek's larger-than-life personality. She had spent most of her life supporting Derek's ambitions, including his desire to sexually experiment with this adults-only cruise. When Torres brought Janice in for questioning on the afternoon of April 14, she appeared visibly shaken, her hands trembling as she clutched a tissue. Janice was cooperative, but her demeanor was that of a woman who had been pushed to the brink. As she recounted the events of the previous night, her voice was soft, barely above a whisper. She told Torres that Derek had been excited about the cruise, particularly about exploring their sexual relationship in new ways, something that had always made her uncomfortable. Janice admitted that she had reluctantly agreed to participate in Derek's wife-swapping fantasy, hoping it would satisfy her husband's increasingly kinky sexual needs. But as the days went on, Janice, already off-kilter, having never even seen the ocean in her life, became increasingly uneasy with her husband's sexual arrangements. She described feeling trapped by Derek's insatiable appetite for bizarre sexual situations and disgusted by the situations he practically forced her into. The night before Derek's death, the couple had argued in their cabin. Janice told Torres that Derek had demanded her to have sex with Marina Davis-Lockley, one of the other participants in the wife-swapping arrangement, while he watched. Janice had refused, leading to a heated argument. She admitted to feeling both angry and humiliated, but she insisted that she had left the cabin to cool off, spending the night walking around the ship's deck, staring out at the ocean and praying for strength. Torres pressed Janice on the details of the argument, trying to determine if her anger could have driven her to kill Derek. However, Janice remained calm and composed, showing no signs of the rage that might have led to such a brutal murder. Despite her discomfort with the situation, Janice maintained that she would never have harmed Derek, whom she had loved for so many years. The detectives noted her demeanor, but they couldn't ignore the potential motive, a combination of fear, resentment, and desperation that made Janice a key suspect. The second suspect in Derek Orville's murder was Brian Davis, a 47-year-old investment banker from Long Island, New York. Brian was everything Derek admired: successful, confident, and charismatic, with a reputation as a ladies' man. He had been married to Marina Davis-Lockley, a serene British yoga instructor, for 10 years, but their relationship was anything but traditional. Ryan and Marina were in an open marriage, a fact they were open about, particularly during this adults-only cruise. Ryan's involvement in the wife-swapping arrangement had started as a thrill-seeking adventure, something he was always up for. Friends described him as a smooth talker who could charm anyone into doing almost anything. On a cruise, Ryan quickly bonded with Derek, who shared his enthusiasm for pushing sexual boundaries. The two men seemed to hit it off immediately, and by the third day of the trip, they had agreed to swap wives. But it wasn't just Derek's wife, Janice, who caught Brian's eye. Ryan also became attracted to Derek himself, enjoying the power dynamics that Derek liked to impose, and the two regularly heading to the nearest bathroom to have sex with each other. When Detective Samuel Torres brought Brian in for questioning, Ryan was dressed in a casual polo shirt and khaki shorts, looking more like someone about to hit the golf course than a murder suspect. He was relaxed, almost too relaxed, as he spoke to Torres. Brian admitted that he and Derek had become close and had even become sexual partners. However, he denied any involvement in Derek's death. Brian claimed that the last time he saw Derek was the night before, during a tense encounter where Derek had demanded that Brian and Marina engage in a sexual act with Janice while he watched. Brian, who said he, quote, hates conflict, said the situation had become uncomfortable, and he had left the cabin with Marina, returning to their own room for the night. Torres noticed that Brian's calm demeanor never wavered, even when the questioning became more intense. Brian spoke confidently, his answers quick and to the point. He acknowledged that the wife-swapping experience with Janice and Derek had not been what he expected, admitting that the tension between the couples had escalated as the week went on. However, he insisted that while the situation had grown awkward, he had no reason to kill Derek. Brian's alibi, spending the night with Marina in the cabin, was supported by key card records, but Torres couldn't shake the feeling that Brian was hiding something. The motive was clear: jealousy, desire, and a hunger for control. Ryan's interest in both Derek and Janice, coupled with the possibility of a love triangle turning deadly, made him a prime suspect. But without solid evidence, Torres knew he needed more to connect Brian directly to the murder. The investigation took a significant turn on April 16, 2015, 2 days after Derek Orville's body was discovered. The morning was overcast, with a light drizzle making the deck of the cruise ship slick. Detective Samuel Torres was growing frustrated. Despite the interrogations and a meticulous search of Derek's cabin, the team still hadn't uncovered any decisive evidence pointing to the killer. The crime scene was clean, and the few witnesses were either too intoxicated or too focused on their own affairs to provide useful information. But that morning, new evidence emerged that changed the direction of the investigation. A maintenance worker named Cody Mendez, who had been cleaning the ship's storage rooms, found a small, nondescript digital camera tucked away behind some cleaning supplies. The camera looked out of place, and its memory card was missing. Cody, who had heard about the murder on the ship, immediately turned it over to the ship's security team. They, in turn, passed it on to Torres and his team. The camera was a simple, handheld model, the kind anyone might carry on vacation. It was slightly scuffed, suggesting it had been hastily discarded. Torres hoped the camera might contain some useful information, so he sent it to the forensic lab on board the ship for analysis. Within a few hours, the technicians had managed to recover several deleted files from the camera's internal memory. What they found was shocking. The recovered footage showed several sexual encounters between the two couples involved in the wife-swapping arrangement, Derek and Janice Orville, and Brian and Marina Davis. The videos, recorded without Janice's knowledge, revealed the increasing tension and discomfort she felt, particularly during the final night of Derek's life. One of the most disturbing clips showed a heated argument between Derek and Janice in their cabin. Derek, visibly angry, was pressuring Janice to participate in a sexual act with Marina while they watched. Janice was seen crying, pleading with Derek to stop, but he refused. The video cut off abruptly, but it was clear that Janice had been pushed to her emotional limit. This new evidence provided a much clearer picture of what might have happened that night. It also gave Torres a better understanding of Janice's state of mind in the hours leading up to the murder. The footage, combined with her earlier testimony, suggested that Janice's fear and desperation had reached a boiling point, possibly leading to Derek's death. Torres now had the motive he needed, but he still needed to confirm if Janice had actually committed the murder. The third suspect in the investigation was Marina Davis Lockley, a 39-year-old yoga instructor from Stoke-on-Trent, England. Marina was known for her calm demeanor and spiritual outlook on life. She had met her husband, Ryan Davis, 10 years earlier while teaching a yoga class in New York City. Despite their different backgrounds, Marina being quiet and introspective, Brian being outgoing and ambitious, the couple seemed to complement each other. Their open marriage, however, was a source of curiosity and sometimes judgment from those who knew them. Marina had initially been reluctant about the wife-swapping arrangement that Brian and Derek had proposed. She wasn't as adventurous as her husband and felt uncomfortable with the idea, but she agreed to it in an effort to keep their marriage strong. As the cruise progressed, Marina found herself increasingly uneasy with the sexual dynamics between the two couples. Derek's dominant behavior, particularly his insistence on controlling the situation, clashed with Marina's desire for peace and balance. She began to distance herself from their wanton sexual activities, often retreating to the ship's yoga classes or spending time alone on the deck, staring out at the endless Caribbean Sea. Detective Samuel Torres brought Marina in for questioning after the disturbing footage from her camera was found. The videos, however, clearly showed Marina's discomfort during the sexual encounters, and Torres wanted to understand her state of mind. Marina appeared calm, but there was an undercurrent of tension in her eyes. Torres began by asking Marina about her relationship with Derek and Janice. Marina admitted that she felt sympathy for Janice, who seemed overwhelmed by Derek's controlling nature. She also expressed regret for agreeing to the wife-swapping arrangement, acknowledging that it had brought nothing but stress and anxiety. She admitted to the videos, saying that she had secretly recorded all their sexual encounters on the cruise for pragmatic reasons only. She told police she was planning to sell the footage to an adult film company as she and Brian were in deep financial trouble. When Torres pressed her about the night of Derek's murder, Marina's calm facade began to crack. She admitted that she had left Derek in Janice's cabin early, unable to bear the situation any longer. However, she denied any involvement in Derek's death. Torres noted that Marina's responses were measured but tinged with a quiet resolve. She seemed genuinely saddened by Derek's death, but also relieved that the ordeal was over. Despite her calm exterior, Torres couldn't help but wonder if Marina's desire to protect Janice had driven her to an extreme action. The possibility that Marina had acted out of a protective instinct, combined with her own discomfort, made her a serious suspect. However, without concrete evidence linking her directly to the crime, Boris knew he would have to dig deeper to find the truth. The breakthrough in the investigation came on April 18, 2015, 4 days after Derek Orville's body was found. Detective Samuel Torres had spent days reviewing the footage recovered from the hidden camera, piecing together the events leading up to Derek's murder. The evidence pointed to only one person who had the motive, opportunity, and means to carry out the crime: Janice Orville, Derek's wife. Janice, a 45-year-old librarian from Mankato, Minnesota, had been a quiet, supportive partner throughout their 20-year marriage. But the cruise had exposed the deep cracks in their relationship. Derek's domineering behavior and insistence on pushing Janice into increasingly uncomfortable sexual situations had taken a toll on her. The footage from the camera revealed Janice's growing distress, particularly during the final night of Derek's life. The video showed Derek demanding that Janice participate in a sexual act with Marina Davis while he watched, bound and gagged. Janice's tearful pleas for Derek to stop went unanswered, and the video cut off just as tensions reached a boiling point. Torres was convinced that Janice had snapped under the pressure, leading her to suffocate Derek with a pillow while he was helpless. On the morning of April 18th, Torres, along with 2 other officers, went to confront Janice in her cabin. The sun was just rising, casting a soft glow over the ship as it continued its journey through the Caribbean. Janice opened the door, her face pale and eyes red from days of sleeplessness. She knew why they were there. Torres informed Janice that she was under arrest for the murder of her husband. Janice didn't resist. Instead, she simply nodded, her hands trembling as she was handcuffed. She seemed resigned to her fate, as if the weight of the past week had finally crushed her spirit. As she was led away, other passengers watched in shocked silence, the reality of the situation sinking in. Back in Mankato, news of Janice's arrest spread quickly. The small town, where Derek had been a well-known realtor, was stunned. Friends and family struggled to reconcile the image of the quiet, unassuming librarian with the shocking crime she was accused of committing. Derek's parents were devastated. They had always seen Janice as the perfect wife for their son, and now they were grappling with the horror that she had taken his life. The arrest marked the beginning of a long legal process, but for Torres, it was the culmination of a tense and emotionally charged investigation. He had seen the toll the situation had taken on everyone involved. And while Janice's arrest brought some closure, it also left many questions about the true nature of the relationship between Derek and Janice, and how it had all gone so terribly wrong. Janice Orville's trial began on October 12, 2015, in Miami-Dade County Court. The courtroom was packed with reporters, curious onlookers, and the families of both Derek and Janice, all eager to see justice served. The prosecution, led by Assistant District Attorney Maria Paulina Sanchez, 38, was determined to paint Janice as a cold-blooded killer. Sanchez, known for her no-nonsense approach and sharp cross-examinations, argued that Janice had meticulously planned Derek's murder as a way to escape their failing marriage. She presented the hidden camera footage as key evidence, highlighting Janice's growing distress and the final confrontation on the night of the murder. Sanchez asserted that Janice had deliberately suffocated Derek, using the pillow as the murder weapon, in a premeditated act of violence. The defense, led by public defender Ellen Goldstein, 52, painted a very different picture. Goldstein, a seasoned attorney known for his empathetic style, argued that Janice had acted in self-defense after years of psychological abuse. He described Derek as a controlling and manipulative husband who had forced Janice into humiliating situations. Goldstein claimed that Janice's actions were the result of a mental breakdown brought on by the extreme stress of the cruise and Derek's relentless pressure. Throughout the trial, Janice remained stoic, her eyes often downcast as she listened to the testimony. The Orville family sat in the front row, their grief palpable. Derek's mother, Linda Orville, broke down in tears several times, unable to comprehend how the woman she once considered a daughter could have killed her son. After 2 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for just 6 hours before returning with a verdict. On October 27, 2015, Janice Orville was found guilty of second-degree murder. The judge sentenced her to 50 years in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict brought some closure to Derek's family, but it also left them with a deep sense of loss. They felt the sentence was too lenient, given the brutal nature of Derek's death. Janice's family, on the other hand, expressed relief that she had not been sentenced to life in prison, though they were devastated by the outcome. The trial had been a painful experience for everyone involved, leaving scars that would take years to heal. After the trial, the lives of everyone involved were irrevocably changed. Janice Orville began serving her 50-year sentence at the Lowell Correctional Institution, a women's prison in Ocala, Florida. Life behind bars was a harsh adjustment for Janice, who had spent most of her life in the quiet comfort of her Minnesota home. The once mousy librarian now faced a daily reality filled with strict routines, overcrowded cells, and limited contact with the outside world. She kept mostly to herself, spending her days reading and occasionally teaching other inmates how to read and write. Back in Mankato, Derek Orville's family struggled to move forward. His parents, Robert and Linda, were consumed by grief, unable to accept the loss of their only son. The house that once echoed with Derek's lively presence now felt unbearably empty. Robert, who had always been proud of Derek's achievements, became a shell of his former self, rarely leaving the house. Linda sought solace in her church community, finding comfort in prayer and the support of fellow parishioners, but the pain of losing Derek remained a constant companion. Ryan Davis and Marina Davis Lockley, the other couple involved in the wife-swapping arrangement, returned to Long Island after the trial. The scandal had destroyed their reputation and left their marriage in tatters. Brian, once a successful investment banker, lost his job after the company learned about the trial and the secret recordings he had made. Marina, who had been a respected yoga instructor, found it impossible to continue teaching, as her clients abandoned her in the wake of the scandal. The couple eventually divorced, each trying to rebuild their lives separately. For the community of Mankato, the case served as a harsh reminder of how quickly life can change. The trial and its aftermath were the talk of the town for months, as people struggled to reconcile the Janice they knew with the woman convicted of such a horrific crime. Cody McAllister was a 29-year-old software developer working at Cisco in Santa Rosa, California. He was known for his dry wit, his love of classic cars, and his attention to detail. His friends described him as both a bit of a perfectionist and someone with a warm, caring side. He was proud of his career at Cisco, and with Silicon Valley booming in 2019, Cody's future looked bright. He was the oldest of 2 siblings, with a younger sister named Rachel. The two had always had a complicated relationship, with Rachel's rebellious nature and twin drug and alcohol addictions clashing against Cody's sober, structured life. Despite their differences, Cody had always tried to support his sister, especially when their parents passed away a few years earlier. Cody had always wanted to find the perfect partner, and in early 2019, he finally found her in Lily, a freelance fashion designer. Their relationship was intense and moved fast. Within months, they were married. Friends and family were surprised at how quickly everything happened. Cody was usually more careful, but he believed he had found the one. Lily was calm, stylish, and creative, a stark contrast to Cody's tech-focused world where a clean hoodie was the height of fashion. The two seemed like a perfect match on the outside, but there were signs of trouble that Cody's close friends noticed. He seemed more anxious in the days leading up to his death, though no one could put their finger on why. In the days before he died, Cody was still going about his usual routine. He worked late on some big projects for Cisco and had been chatting excitedly with friends about an upcoming trip he was planning for his first wedding anniversary with Lily. They were looking at places like Napa Valley or maybe a quiet weekend in Carmel by the Sea. Cody had also been thinking about the future, possibly starting a family, buying a bigger house, and settling down. But there were also private struggles that Cody was dealing with. He had always had trust issues in relationships, and there were rumors that his marriage wasn't as perfect as it seemed. Still, Cody seemed hopeful that things would improve and that his new life with Lily was the fresh start he had been waiting for. It was the morning of November 18, 2019, when Cody McAllister's body was discovered. At around 7:30 a.m., Lily McAllister, Cody's wife, called 911 saying she had found her husband dead in their condo. The couple lived in a modern, upscale unit in a trendy part of San Jose, not far from Santana Row, an area known for its high-end shops and restaurants. Lily had woken up early and realized Cody wasn't in bed. She told police that after searching the apartment, she found him in the laundry room. When Lily found Cody, he was lying on the floor in a pool of blood. His body had multiple stab wounds, with the fatal blow being to his chest. His arms were limp at his sides and cut up, and the laundry room was in disarray, with clothes scattered around, signaling a violent struggle had taken place. The washer and dryer, both high-end models, were splattered with blood and smelled like old meat rather than clean clothes. Lily was described as calm when she spoke to the 911 operator, though she sounded shaky at times, clearly in shock from what she had found. The first responders arrived within minutes of the call. Officer Mark Tran was the first on the scene, followed closely by his partner, Officer Emily Reyes. They quickly secured the area and began checking for signs of life. Unfortunately, Cody was already cold to the touch. Lily was taken outside and questioned briefly by Officer Reyes, who noted that while Lily appeared upset, she wasn't crying and seemed distant. The officers then called for backup, and the crime scene investigation team arrived shortly after. Neighbors later told reporters that they hadn't heard anything unusual that morning. The walls in the condo building were thick, and it wasn't uncommon for city noise to drown out the sounds from nearby apartments. The couple was relatively new to the building, so no one knew them well, but most described Cody as polite and quiet. They hadn't seen much of Lily, but one neighbor, an older woman who lived across the hall, said she had seen her at the grocery store just the day before. By the time detectives arrived, the building was cordoned off with yellow police tape, and the investigation was in full swing. Cody's body was taken to the coroner's office, and Lily was brought in for questioning. No one could have guessed at the secrets that were about to come to light. The San Jose Police Department arrived swiftly after Lily McAllister's 911 call on the morning of November 18, 2019. Detectives James O'Brien and Lisa Chang, both veterans with the department, were assigned to the case. O'Brien was known for his methodical approach and no-nonsense attitude, while Chang had a reputation for being sharp and detail-oriented. Together, they walked into the upscale condo, ready to piece together what had happened to Cody McAllister. The crime scene was gruesome. The laundry room was small, with Cody's body lying near the door, face up, surrounded by a large pool of blood. Clothes were scattered everywhere. Socks, shirts, and towels were tossed haphazardly on the floor, some of them soaked in blood. It was clear there had been a struggle. A bloody steak knife, likely the murder weapon, was found a few feet away from Cody's body. It had a black ergonomic handle, common in many households, but now stained with clotted blood. The detectives noted the washer and dryer, both covered in spatter, and a few bloody handprints on the doorframe, indicating Cody had likely tried to defend himself. Detective Chang immediately began cataloging evidence. She directed the forensic team to take samples of the blood, check for fingerprints, and look for any signs of forced entry. The laundry room wasn't particularly large, so it didn't take long for the investigators to collect evidence. They used special blue lights to search for additional traces of blood in other parts of the house, but it seemed the attack had been confined to the laundry room. Outside, officers canvassed the neighborhood, asking residents if they had heard or seen anything suspicious, but no significant bleeds emerged. O'Brien focused on the timeline. The couple had been married for less than a year, and according to Lily, everything had seemed fine. However, the signs of a violent argument were impossible to ignore. There were no signs of a break-in, which suggested that Cody had possibly known his attacker. As they pieced together the evidence, the detectives began to consider the possibility of a domestic dispute gone horribly wrong. The medical examiner later confirmed that Cody had been stabbed 3 times, with the fatal wound being a deep cut to his chest, severing his aorta. The coroner's report indicated that Cody likely died within minutes of the attack. Meanwhile, the detectives continued to search the rest of the condo for more clues, but nothing else seemed out of place. The scene, while chaotic, appeared personal. This definitely wasn't a random attack. The first suspect police turned to was Cody's wife, Lily McAllister, who had made the 911 call reporting the murder. At 32, Lily worked as a freelance fashion designer and had built a modest reputation in the local creative scene for her bold and unique designs. Her quiet, enigmatic personality drew people in, but many who knew her said she kept much of her personal life private. She had met Cody just over a year before, and their relationship had moved quickly to marriage, surprising some of their friends. During her initial interrogation on November 18, 2019, Lily appeared calm but visibly shaken. She told detectives that she had found Cody's body after returning from a quick morning walk. She claimed their marriage had been mostly happy, though she admitted they had their share of arguments, especially recently. As Detective O'Brien questioned her, Lily became more emotional, but her story remained consistent. She repeatedly stated that she had no idea who could have done this to Cody. The detectives, however, couldn't ignore some red flags. For one, there were no signs of forced entry into the condo, which meant the killer was likely someone Cody knew. Lily also had some bruises on her arms and a small cut on her hand. When asked about them, she said they were from an unrelated accident the day before, but the explanation seemed vague. O'Brien, who had a naturally suspicious personality, found her demeanor odd, especially given the violent nature of the crime. As the questioning continued, the tension in the room grew. The detectives mentioned rumors about an affair between Lily and Rachel, Cody's younger sister. After a moment of hesitation, Lily admitted to the sexual relationship. She explained that the affair had started before her marriage to Cody and had continued even after they weighed. In fact, she admitted she had sex with Rachel the afternoon before Cody's death. This revelation added layers of complexity to the situation, suggesting deep emotional connections intertwined with the turmoil of the love triangle. Lily described her feelings for both Cody and Rachel, emphasizing the passion and intense sexual fireworks she shared with Rachel, which contrasted with the stability and calm Cody provided. The detectives noted the significant implications of this admission, recognizing that Lily's secret sexual relationship could have played a critical role in the confrontation that led to Cody's death. Further complicating matters was the lack of background information on Lily. Police struggled to find any records of her existence before 2015. She had told Cody and his friends that she was from Calgary, Canada, but there were no official documents to support this claim. This led detectives to question whether she might be hiding something from her past, and whether that could have played a role in the crime. Despite Lily's cooperation, the police couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her story. They pressed her on her relationship with Cody, asking about any recent arguments or tensions between them. Lily admitted they had been arguing about finances and other personal issues, but she denied any involvement in Cody's death. Still, the investigation was just beginning, and while Lily wasn't immediately arrested, she remained a person of interest. Detectives would continue to dig deeper into Lily's past and their relationship, searching for anything that might shed light on the violent act that took Cody's life. The second person the police questioned was Rachel McAllister, Cody's younger sister. Rachel, 26, was a bartender at a trendy downtown San Jose bar called the Fountain Tap. She was also an aspiring singer, known for performing Taylor Swift songs at local open mic nights. With a rebellious personality and a love for the Bay Area's nightlife scene, Rachel was close to Cody but had a complicated relationship with him. Her fiery temper and history of drug and alcohol use made her a suspect almost immediately. Rachel had also been involved in a secret relationship with Lily before Cody had ever met her, a fact that only came to light during the investigation. She had continued her affair with Lily even after Cody and Lily got married, creating a tangled web of sex and deceit. The sexual relationship between the two women had been passionate but full of tension, and detectives believed this could be a possible motive for Rachel to harm her brother. If Cody found out about the affair, it could have created significant conflict. Rachel was brought in for questioning on the afternoon of November 19, 2019, less than 10 days before Thanksgiving. From the moment she sat down, it was clear she wasn't handling the interrogation well. Her frustration showed as she angrily denied any involvement in her brother's death. She told Detective O'Brien that she loved Cody despite their differences and insisted she would never hurt him. However, her body language told a different story. She shifted nervously in her seat, avoiding eye contact, and became defensive when asked about her ongoing affair with Lily. The detectives pressed Rachel on her whereabouts the night of the murder. She claimed she was working late at the fountain tap and then went home to do some pot, but she had no solid alibi to back her up. O'Brien also questioned her about Coleman Kang, her ex-boyfriend with a violent past, who had been seen near Cody's condo around the time of the murder. Rachel admitted she hadn't spoken to Duke in months, but became noticeably tense when his name was mentioned. As police continued to dig into Rachel's personal life, they uncovered her struggles with substance abuse and her financial troubles, which raised more suspicion. Detectives theorized that Rachel's jealousy of Cody's success, combined with the stress of her affair with Lily, could have driven her to a breaking point. While there was no physical evidence directly linking Rachel to the crime, her tumultuous relationship with both Cody and Lily made her a prime suspect in the investigation. The third person police investigated was David Duke Coleman Kang, a 42-year-old felon with a long history of violent crime. Duke had been in and out of prison for various offenses, including drug dealing and assault. He was well known to law enforcement in San Jose, especially around the rougher areas like East Side, where criminal activity was more frequent. Duke's rough reputation and ties to Rachel McAllister immediately put him on the police's radar after Cody's murder. Duke had been spotted near Cody's upscale condo the night of the murder. A neighbor reported seeing him standing near the building's parking lot around 10:30 p.m., smoking a blunt. This sighting raised alarm bells for the investigators, as Duke was known to have had a volatile relationship with Rachel in the past. Duke and Rachel had broken up months before, but their relationship had been filled with arguments, often fueled by drugs and alcohol. Police wondered if Duke, driven by jealousy or anger, could have been looking for Rachel and ended up at Cody's place instead. On November 21, 2019, Duke was picked up by police for questioning. He was calm, almost indifferent, as Detective O'Brien and his partner, Detective Chang, brought him into the station. Dressed in a worn leather jacket and jeans, Duke appeared unaffected by the seriousness of the situation. When asked about his presence near Cody's building the night of the murder, Duke claimed he was in the area to sexually menace a guy about unpaid drug payments, which he said never happened. He insisted he had nothing to do with Cody's death and claimed he barely knew Cody at all. Duke's criminal record, however, made the detectives suspicious. His involvement in drug-related activities and his connection to Rachel created a possible motive. Could Duke have been looking to settle a score or intimidate someone? And things went horribly wrong. Police pressed him hard on whether his presence was related to Rachel or if there had been a confrontation that led to Cody's death. Duke denied it all, maintaining that he hadn't even gone inside the building that night. Despite Duke's criminal past, police had no solid evidence tying him to the crime. His alibi, though flimsy, wasn't easy to disprove. There were no signs that Duke had entered the condo or been involved in the violent altercation that led to Cody's death. While Duke remained a person of interest due to his connection with Rachel and his proximity to the scene, police knew they needed more concrete evidence to pursue him further. On November 24, 2019, nearly a week after Cody McAllister's murder, the San Jose Police Department received a critical break in the case. The weather that Sunday was chilly, with light rain falling across the city, creating a somber mood around the investigation. Detectives O'Brien and Richards were reviewing evidence at the station when a forensic technician approached them with something unusual. While combing through Lily McAllister's MacBook, the tech had uncovered several hidden files containing medical documents, including one that revealed a secret Cody had possibly just discovered before his death. Lily McAllister was born a man and had undergone gender transition surgery years earlier in Canada. The documents, dating back to 2015, showed that Lily had once been a man known as Lyle Dubchenko. This revelation was shocking not only because of the secret itself, but also because Lily had kept this part of her past completely hidden from Cody, who likely had no idea when they married. As police dug deeper, they also uncovered another bombshell. Before her transition, Lily, as Lyle, had actually been married to Cody's sister, Rachel McAllister, while living in Calgary. This tangled web of relationships immediately added a new layer of complexity to the case. Investigators pieced together a possible scenario. Cody had been browsing the laptop when he stumbled upon these documents. Already dealing with tension in his marriage, this discovery likely pushed him over the edge, leading to a violent confrontation with Lily on the night of his murder. With this new evidence, police interviewed Lily again, this time focusing on her past. When confronted with the documents, Lily admitted that Cody had discovered her secret that evening, leading to a heated argument. But according to Lily, while Cody was furious and felt utterly betrayed, not only because she had kept her transition hidden, but also because of her previous marriage to his sister, the argument did not turn violent. Lily claimed she had tried to calm Cody down, but the argument had quickly escalated until Cody left the apartment to calm down. The discovery of this new information was a massive turning point in the investigation. Detectives now believe that Cody's murder was directly tied to his discovery of Lily's past and the emotional turmoil it caused. The police re-examined the crime scene with this new understanding, hoping to find more evidence to support their theory. They also began speaking to Rachel McAllister again, to clarify her knowledge of Lily's history and how much she had told her brother. This new evidence gave police a clearer motive and pushed Lily to the top of their list of suspects. On the evening of November 26, 2019, after days of investigation, the San Jose Police Department officially identified Lily McAllister as Cody McAllister's killer. Following the discovery of hidden medical documents revealing Lily's past as a transgender woman and her former marriage to Cody's sister, Rachel, police concluded that Cody had discovered these secrets shortly before his murder. This realization had led to a violent argument in a couple's upscale condo, culminating in Cody's stabbing death. Lily McAllister, 32, had always been an enigmatic figure in the local creative scene. Known for her unique fashion designs and soft-spoken demeanor, she had lived a quiet, seemingly private life since arriving in California a few years earlier. But her secret past as Lyle Dubchenko, a man who transitioned in Canada, had remained hidden, even from Cody, her husband of only a few months. When Cody uncovered this information, his sense of betrayal and rage likely led to the violent altercation that ended his life. Police believed that after Cody confronted Lily, the argument quickly spiraled out of control. In a desperate attempt to protect herself from Cody's aggression, Lily had grabbed a kitchen knife during the struggle and stabbed him in the chest. While Lily would later claim she acted in self-defense, detectives found the situation far more complex, given the intense emotional layers of the relationship and the secrets that had just come to light. On November 27, 2019, police arrived at Lily's condo to arrest her. It was a quiet afternoon, and Lily was at home, still reeling from the events of the past few days. When officers knocked on her door, she didn't seem surprised. According to police reports, Lily was calm as they informed her of the charges, stating that she had expected this outcome. Her demeanor remained controlled as they handcuffed her and led her to the patrol car. Meanwhile, Cody's family, especially his parents and sister Rachel, were devastated by the arrest. Rachel's marriage and subsequent sexual relationship with Lily, both before and after her transition, added another layer of heartbreak to an already tragic situation. The family had struggled to come to terms with the tangled web of secrets and betrayals that had led to Cody's death. Still, the arrest brought some closure to their grief, knowing that justice might be served. With Lily in custody, police had their suspect, and the focus turned to the upcoming trial. The case had quickly become quietly talked about in social media, with headlines speculating about Lily's past and the shocking circumstances surrounding Cody's murder. The trial of Lily McAllister for the murder of her husband Cody began in early February 2020. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Mark Harding, a 45-year-old with a no-nonsense reputation, argued that Lily's actions were deliberate. Harding highlighted the evidence found on Cody's laptop and suggested that the discovery of Lily's transgender identity and her prior relationship with Cody's sister, Rachel, was the final trigger for the fatal confrontation. He painted a picture of premeditation, claiming Lily had gone to great lengths to hide her past, which exploded in violence when Cody learned the truth. On the defense side, attorney Sarah Jane Lobison, 39, took the lead. Known for her empathetic yet sharp style, Lobison claimed that Lily had acted in self-defense. She explained that Cody had become enraged after discovering Lily's documents and began a physical altercation that left Lily no choice but to protect herself. Labison painted a sympathetic image of Lily, describing her difficult life as a transgender woman and the fear she lived with, particularly from rejection by people close to her. She urged the jury to consider Lily's mental state during the argument. Throughout the trial, Cody's family attended every session. His parents sat in the courtroom daily, devastated by the loss of their son, Rachel McAllister, caught in the middle of the tangled relationships, seen torn, quietly supporting her family but struggling with her complicated feelings about Lily. The emotional weight of the case was evident in their faces as both sides made their arguments. After 3 weeks of testimony, the jury deliberated for 2 days. In the end, Lily was convicted of second-degree murder. The judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison, a decision that some of Cody's family felt was too lenient, given the tragic loss of his life. The defense team had hoped for a lesser charge of manslaughter, but the jury sided with the prosecution's view that Lily's actions, while not premeditated, were far more than just self-defense. The trial left a deep emotional scar on both Cody's family and those in the local community who had followed the case closely through media outlets like the San Jose Mercury News. In the end, justice was served, but the pain of Cody's death lingered. After Lily McAllister's trial in February 2020, the lives of those involved changed significantly. Lily was sentenced to 20 years in prison for the murder of her husband, Cody McAllister. She was sent to Valley State Prison in Chowchilla, California, where she faced significant challenges as a transgender woman in a male prison environment. While some inmates were supportive, others were not, and she had to navigate a complex social landscape. In prison, she found support from some inmates and began participating in educational programs. She focused on bettering herself through classes in art and writing, hoping to share her story one day. However, she also faced discrimination from others, making her time difficult. Rachel McAllister, Cody's younger sister, struggled with the aftermath of the trial. She had been deeply affected by her brother's death and her relationship with Lily. As a local bartender in San Jose, Rachel continued to pursue her dream of becoming a singer. She often performed at small venues around the city, trying to channel her grief into her music. In early 2020, she began therapy to help process her emotions, working through her complicated feelings of loss and betrayal. Rachel also spoke publicly about her experiences on her TikTok channel, sharing her story to raise awareness about domestic violence and mental health. Coleman Kang, Lily's ex-boyfriend, who had initially been a suspect in Cody's murder, faced his own troubles. With a history of violent crime and drug use, Duke continued to struggle with addiction after the trial. Reports indicated that he was arrested again in 2020 for drug possession in San Jose. He was sentenced to rehabilitation, where he attempted to turn his life around by becoming a youth pastor in Nashville. Duke's past haunted him, but he aimed to break the cycle of his previous choices. As time passed, Cody's family remained dedicated to honoring his memory. They established a charity focusing on mental health support, hoping to help others affected by violence. Through their efforts, they found some solace and a way to keep Cody's spirit alive.